We are back with another episode. I don't know why I'm doing that voice of all voices. Back with another episode of the Scale of Fate campaign. I had an intro, then we started talking about Nickelodeon, and the intro disappeared. Um, but where we left off, about 3 weeks ago, uh, you guys had traveled to the city of, not the city, the ghost town of Coffin Rim. Um, did a little bit of snooping around, fought a couple of undead creatures, as well as did a small task for an Aarakocran woman uh, who simply wanted an artifact that was deeper within the underground caverns that you guys explored underneath the city or town, where you also interacted with a necromancer kobold who was not very happy with your presence after you killed his undead minions, and decided to chase you guys out of the room by polymorphing into a giant crocodile. Um, you guys did acquire your rod after fighting a few will-o-wisp, giving her the rod and then returning back to the city of Drygen, where you found rest in the full moonshine tavern, uh, selling a few of your items to the barkeep Kai before uh, settling in for the night, while Magnus wandered the streets once again, and Andraka probably found rest on the roof of the tavern. So, it is the following morning after your guys' arrival back in the city. Um, during the night, I'm going to ask you, Magnus, where would you have been wandering, or would you have found a place to find rest?
Found a rooftop.
Just a random one, or would it have been one
Yeah,
specific?
just a random one. Doesn't
Okay.
fucking matter what.
Okay, so you wake up in the morning to the sun slowly rising, as well as Andraka doing the same. Uh, Journey, who ended up getting a room with uh, Trinket and uh, Dusk. Uh, you wake up to the sun beginning to peek in through the small window of the uh, room that you had acquired for the night. Um, both Trinket and Dusk have already seemed to have gone down into the bar uh, as you wake up and slowly make your way down there. Um, the scene for you right now, there's maybe two or three patrons within this bar. Um, there's a werewolf off to the side, seeming to be drinking, starting off his morning drinking a large, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think, a large jug of ale or whatever. I
A
can't think.
Stein.
Stein. Sure, that works really well. It's not the word I was looking
Tankard.
for. Tankard. That was the one. It's been a long day. Words are not coming to me right now. There's a werewolf off to the side drinking his tankard. You can see that Trinket is in a conversation with Sylvia at the other end of the bar. Why Dust seems to be slowly picking off what looks to be a plate of eggs and what you imagine to be probably stale biscuits, as they don't look all that fresh. Um, what would you like to do?
I will join Trinket at the bar.
All right. Um, you head over to the bar and take a seat next to Trinket, who kind of gives you a nod while Sylvia looks over at you and says, well, "Morning. What can I get for you?"
Some water.
Uh, I'll get that right for you. She walks off and goes in
That was a
quickly.
real yawn.
That was a real yawn.
Yeah.
Perfect acting. Um, she gets you your glass of water and sets it before you. She
Thanks.
says, "You looking for anything else? A meal, maybe work?"
See where the morning takes us.
She kind of gives a nod, gives a nod, and uh, notices another patron who's entering the bar and moves over to go assist them for a moment. I'm gonna jump to Andraka real quick. You wake up in the morning, Andraka, to the sun rising. You're a bit stiff as the night gotten a little cold uh, later on during the darkened hours. As you arise, what do you wish to do?
I'm going to read my book.
You're gonna read your book. Okay. So you just getting settled there and reading your book.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll jump back to Journey real quick. Or no, we'll do Magnus. Magnus, what as you wake up in the morning, it's like any other morning for you. You're not. You did get a little cold during the night, but it didn't really affect you all that much, considering you're used to much colder conditions. Got a little chilly, but not too bad. Um, as you wake up, what do you wish to do as the city begins to wake up around you?
Okay, so I don't know if you'll remember this scene, but like the scene in Halloween the movie where Myers is just standing like half behind a shrub, just staring at the house, like that one house where almost everything happened.
Yeah.
That's what Magnus is doing to the bar.
So you're just across the street. You moved yourself to like an alleyway and just like are standing there staring at the bar.
Yeah.
Standing there menacingly.
Pretty much. All right. So you're just chilling. All right. So we now have established where everyone is. So we'll go back to Journey. Um, Rat Dog. God damn it. Yeah. We're gonna have to do a crossover with him at some point. On another note though, so around this point, Journey, as you're sitting there waking up, uh, Kai enters the room, um, looking to have only woken up recently himself. He's rubbing his eyes a little bit and seems to have only just gotten himself into a position of being awake enough to run a bar. Um, him and Sylvia seem to exchange a few words quietly uh, before he picks up a tankard and takes a swig of ale before setting down the tankard and doing a little shake, kind of waking himself up a bit, and starts moving down the bar towards you and Trinket. Um, and as he does, he stops in front of you for a moment, looks back at Sylvia, and then turns to you and says, "How long are you planning to stay in town?"
No clue. What do you think, Trinket?
She thinks a little bit, says, um, "I'm not exactly sure. Just kind of wherever work takes us. Which we don't really have anything, unless the others found something last night, but I don't think any of us have." Kai kind of gives a bit of a nod. Says, well, if you're looking for work, I might have something for you. He looks around the bar real quick at the few patrons that are in there and says, "The truth is, someone's been stealing my shipments. And they're in this town. Because every time one of these shipments has been either stopped or looted without anyone knowing, it has been near the town or in the town. I have a few ideas of possible individuals, but I don't want to throw anything out there in case I'm wrong. Generally, snitches don't do too well in this town, and throwing uh, false claims out there generally will get one in trouble. So if you want a paycheck, a quick one, and you are able to find these thieves of mine, I can pay you a pretty penny.
What do you think? Want to play private investigator?
Kind of gives a shrug. Tring kind of gives a shrug and says, "Work is work, I guess, and something to keep us busy until we get a lead or two on those visions."
Sounds good to me. It seems like whenever we do anything, we seem to come into some sort of magical item or sum of money. Why not, right?
She nods to you and kind of says, "Oh, good. Says, when you find something out, feel free to stop by here. Uh, I recommend. Um, well, there's a couple places you could look around. You might get answers outside the walls or inside the walls, but well, who knows? Maybe a person or two within this tavern might know a thing." And he
You
kind of
know,
wanders off. Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna ask if he knows generally where his shipments have been intercepted.
He stops as you ask that, and he says, "The ones that weren't caught within town were generally taken out about a mile or two outside of town.
And when is your next shipment to arrive?
2 days."
Hmm. What if we lie in wait at that point in 2 days' time? Catch some red-handed.
I would rather not risk another shipment, but if it does have to come to that, I might be obliged to allow it. Which I have tried before to sit and wait.
Have you
Whoever
reported this to the town guard?
There isn't town guard, unfortunately. Um, if as you may have
Have you reported
noticed,
this to the people who tried shaking us down for cash when we tried to go in the legit way?
um, the hmm, here's the truth about this town. This is a town of criminals. If you haven't figured that out yet, there is no law. Just the bigger man. It's the bigger man with the bigger stick who runs everything.
What you're saying is because everyone's a criminal, if we track these ne'er-do-wells down to their base of operations and take them down, we're well, we can take whatever we want aside from your products, of course, because really, stealing from a thief isn't stealing at all.
I doubt anyone would bat an eye if another group of individuals was killed in the night.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, when you find answers, let me know, and I may be able to point you a little further if you find any little hints here and there. Happy hunting. Kind of wanders off.
Well, I think we track down Magnus, tell him about our business arrangement. Trinket, maybe gonna tell Dusk.
All right. Well, Trinket was right next to you. Dusk is vaguely paying attention.
Oh,
Because they are
good
sitting
morning,
next to
Dusk. I didn't see her. She's so small.
you. She says, "Oh, morning."
Okay. I want to see Draka.
I think he's on the roof. That's generally where he's been sleeping every tavern we've gone.
Makes sense. Hey. So yeah, do you have roof access?
Um, I'm sure we can find some way that he got up there.
I'll just
Um,
throw a rock up there.
that could work.
Just kind of steps up from the bar stool, stretches and yawns. He's never been much of a morning person.
Trinket hops down, begins to make her way towards the door, Dusk kind of sliding off of her stool that's pretty much the same height as her, and kind of scurrying after Trinket. And Magnus, around this point, you do notice Trinket is the first to come out of the bar. And behind her, Dusk appears not long after, and then Journey right behind her. What do you wish to do as they exit the bar?
I'm just gonna fucking stand and watch.
And watch. Roll a general stealth check for me, just to see how unnoticeable you might be.
14.
Okay. It doesn't take long for Trinket to make eye contact with you. She steps out of this bar, looking around. And as she does, she kind of gives a soft smile and kind of waves in your direction. Journey, you do notice Trinket waving towards an alleyway, and you do make out Magnus as she does this.
I see Magnus. I yell across the street, "Hey, Magnus! What are you doing in that alleyway?"
There's just a very long pause, and then Magnus just walks across over to them. Sleeping is difficult.
Well, if you would have just come in with us, you probably could have
No.
slept in... Okay. All right. Let's get Andraka, and then we'll discuss what the new job that we just got.
It's having to explain it twice.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Should we fetch Balrock? What's that guy
Uh,
been up to?
He's probably going to drink again. Just for now. We'll get him later if we need to fight.
Jeez, I hope this guy has good credit. He's been drinking a lot. I don't see any money leaving his pockets.
Pretty sure he's broke, and he's just been cheating his way through drinks, but I don't know. But I'll get Andraka. She kind of hurries off towards the side of the tavern, and you see her start scaling the side of the building pretty much with ease. Andraka, roll a perception check for me.
18.
Okay. You see, the first thing you notice off the corner of your eye as you're sitting there on this roof is a pair of ears pop up, which are quickly followed by Trinket's face looking up over the edge and kind of looking over the roof before looking straight at you. She just says, "The others are waiting for you downstairs."
I don't say anything. I just get up and jump off the roof.
Just straight jumping off.
Yeah, like, like getting down from something, jump off.
Roll an acrobatics check. I want to see how majestic you are.
That 20.
Damn, the slickest thing you've ever seen. God damn, of course. The time that I'm like, I hope he rolls low, because then it could just be like he tripped. No, all right, yeah, you see him jump off this roof and land cat-like is the only term that I can use. Kind of steadying himself once he hits the ground and slowly straightens up and looks towards all of you. Trinket follows behind, landing next to him. She turns to you and says, would you like to explain what we just talked about with the barkeep?
Okay. So, found another job. Rather, it found us. Barkeep's having a shipment stolen, and he wants us to find the perps and put him in the ground, see? Oh, okay, but really, finding shipments, we get to keep whatever loot we find because everyone's criminals here, so, who cares, right? And I think we can probably kill these people with impunity.
Hmm.
Doesn't really seem to any law. So, sounds like fun, right? Fun night out. Next shipment is coming into town in 2 days. We could ambush them there, but Barkeep isn't really keen on risking another one of his shipments.
You mentioned that he's tried to catch them in the act and has been unable himself in the past. I assume they're probably a lot smarter than, well, some might give them credit for. So where would you guys like to start? We don't exactly have a lead on where the information might be about these individuals, but we do know an idea.
Were the carts robbed or stolen?
He said some shipments had been taken out. I assume they probably killed everyone who was leading the shipment and took the cart. Um, Other times it's just little things have been missing, he said.
Well, we can see if this town has an abandoned warehouse district where some shady characters might be hiding all their stolen goods. After all, you can't hide a horse and cart in many places.
If I were them, considering I have a little bit of a history, I would get rid of any kind of evidence as quickly as I could once I acquired what I wanted. They could have abandoned it in the desert as well.
They would still need a place to offload the cart, even
You
if
know,
temporary.
maybe they're fronting their business as a horse and cart dealership. That'd be a pretty easy way to get rid of the evidence while also making some coin on the side.
That is a possibility, yes. But I don't want to just barge into any old place because, well, I don't want to start something with any local criminals.
They're all criminals around here, so you can just call them locals.
Oh yes. Well, I don't want to get into a fray with individuals that would not think twice before slitting one of our throats. But uh, we can get answers by anyone who might travel in and out of here outside the walls. We could possibly get answers in here, but I don't know where would you all like to start? We could even get answers in the tavern, but I don't know. I feel like if we ask too many questions moving around, it's going to draw eyes.
Hey, ask too many questions, maybe the bad guys will find us instead of the other way around.
I would prefer to have a element of surprise, but yes, that is a way. Not exactly very good with being, well, jumped myself. I don't think I would last long.
You got any preferences, Magnus? I know you don't like the bar.
The problem is that unless we can figure out their staging grounds, all we can do is extract information.
Oh, you're good at that.
The problem is who would have it.
Town of people, I just gotta find the right one. She kind of looks down at her feet a little bit. This is gonna be hard.
No, we could ask if he deals with any particular trading company.
we can always, even though this may not be the best idea, if we wish to split and try to cover more ground, but well, I don't think me or you, Journey, should probably separate from too many people. I don't feel that we would do well on our own. And I'm not leaving Dusk on her own either.
And we could split up and look for clues, or we could just do safety in numbers.
That is a possibility, yes.
Maybe we start with the gate guards and work our way in.
What do you two think? She looks at Andraka and Magnus. Do you guys want to separate or try to stick together?
That depends on if those not with me will choose to cause trouble.
She gestures herself. I will not be causing any issues.
Arak is probably passed out drunk in the bar. I doubt he's cognitive enough to even cause any problems. Then again, I haven't exactly told him what we're doing, so.
Yeah, there's a reason we haven't spoken with him this morning. What about you, Draka?
I stare blankly at her.
Okay. What were you going to say, Magnus?
I'm simply worried that if we do split, one of our groups will be put in a position of violence.
We keep our heads low and simply look as if we're... If we go about this the right way, I don't think that would be an issue. And those of us that may not go out about could always just look for answers within the tavern. That is a possibility. But it's up to you guys. I'd rather you all make a choice. I'll go with anything. I'm not entirely sure how I would go about this.
Did he mention any past, any scenes of the raid? Anything left out in the desert?
He didn't, but we also didn't pry for details.
So nowhere to check for tracks.
I would assume he hasn't had a shipment in a bit of time, so I don't think there would be any tracks right now. His next shipment's in 2 days.
A lot can be left behind in the place of a battle,
Oh,
or at the least a raid.
He told us where these raids had usually been happening if we would like to head out into the desert and check for ourselves.
Yeah, he did mention that, yes.
I'll do so.
Alright, I guess, where would you like to search then, Journey? I'll stick with you.
Well, I suppose we can't very well ask about any shady characters coming in town because everyone's shady. So,
Yeah.
no, maybe we check around and see if there's any warehouses here where goods might be stored.
Alright.
Maybe we ask if he has a manifest of what goods have been coming in, and we could see if we can match him against any of these stolen goods. He note that some of the shipments have been stolen wholesale, so it might match an entire shipment.
That is actually a pretty good idea. Maybe let's try to pry some answers from the tavern first, then, if we're going to do that. And then afterwards, after an hour or two, we can go out and search.
Sounds good to me.
And I can see if they might have a place that Dusk can hang out while we do this. I don't I'd rather not have her get caught in a fray yet. If at
It's
all.
reasonable.
She gives you a nod, looks back to you and Draka, says, "Any plans from you?"
How distant plans to stare at us?
I stare blankly at her.
Got
I
it.
should put money on that.
Let's head into the tavern. She takes Dust by the hand and walks into the tavern, or walks back into the tavern. Magnus, you're heading out of the city towards the, just kind of out there.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to you, and actually, we'll do yours first because that would be simplest. All right, so you easy enough head outside the walls, get outside the city, and are looking around. Is there a specific direction you would like to check?
Didn't they give a direction for where this stuff usually happened?
You would assume it'd come from the north, considering most supply routes would probably be from the north.
Okay. Here's the problem. Assume or were we told?
They didn't tell you the direction, but based on what you had seen in your travels coming down, it does appear to be a trade route. A lot of supplies seem to come from, um, what is the city called? Mention the city. Greyborough and Sandhelm. A lot of supplies seem to come from the north from those two cities. So it wouldn't be surprising from you if he was to get his supplies from the north. Considering the next closest city other than those two would be Gravewell, but that is another criminal city that you probably wouldn't be getting supplies from. And you would know this a little bit because you did a little bit of wandering in the Outlands before ending up in Almoria.
All right.
All right, so if you're going to check north, roll say survival check.
$24.
Okay. So over the next few hours, you head out into the desert looking for any signs of any kind of phrase that may have happened within a recent time, uh, any kind of debris that might be somewhat buried in the sand, possible tracks that might still be around, things of that nature. And around probably midday, the beginning of the afternoon-ish, you do come across what looks to be about a mile and a half away from town, the remnants of a broken cart. Looking around these remnants, there does appear to be uh, blood mixed, old blood. It's probably been there for roughly a week because that survival check would tell you that. And it does look like there was a fray here. The sand has consumed most of the remnants of this, and digging around, you do find uh, a significant portion of the cart that has been destroyed by what means you're unsure. But there are large chunks of wood that are kind of scattered about in about a 10-foot area where this cart has just been like demolished over time, or during that incident, and then slowly buried underneath. There is no remnants of any kind of supplies that may have been on this cart, but that is all that you really get out of it. That there was a fight here.
Okay.
Any bodies that were there look to have been removed, because you do tell that it does appear that some of the bodies had been dragged away from the site, and then the blood that is within underneath the sand seems to just disappear, and you assume it's either they were put onto a cart or flown away with type deal.
All right. So, when digging around, I'm not seeing anything else other than the remains of the cart.
It's remains of cart and then chunks of dried. Uh, it's kind of dried blood mixed with sand, like where it clumps up.
All right.
Because the sand and the blood mixed and made these bloody sand balls.
Okay. And you said this was like 2 weeks back or something?
It seems to be like a week old.
Hmm.
Roughly. It could be a little you give or take like a few days, but it's roughly a week old.
All right. Well, then there's nothing here for me. No, nothing here for me. So I'm gonna head back, and I'm going to look for the first person I see. Like first, I guess you could call them a guard, but one of those guys in the garb.
Okay.
In the Yeah.
One of the sentries that are in front of the gates. All right. That's easy to do. So you do find a pair of guards at one of the closest gates to the northern side. One of them is a half orc. The other one appears to be a bugbear. Both kind of standing guard casually, looking around, seem to be a little irritated that they're having to do watch during one of the hotter parts of the days, but
What's either of their heights? What's both of their heights, actually?
the half orc is roughly just above 6 foot. The bugbear is about probably almost 7 feet tall.
Okay, I still have a foot on the bugbear. I'm going to go over to the bugbear so that my shadow casts over him and I look down upon him and I just do you know what happened down that road to the cart that's been destroyed and buried?
I would say roll an intimidation check because of how you are going about this. So why am
I
I
feel
rolling?
like
I have a number.
how this goes is just Magnus normally does it because it's not intimidation. It's just he might not completely understand personal boundaries, but
It's just the way you're going about it. It
yeah,
just this is
nat
more like
20.
a all right. The bugbear kind of takes a slight step back, trying to make a little bit of distance between you and him, kind of bumping into the wall a little bit. Uh, and he says, "What, what are you talking about?"
I'm guessing carts being attacked is normal around here.
And him and the half orc look at each other. The half orc kind of lets out a laugh a bit, and the bugbear replies with, this is a city of criminals. You realize that, right?"
Yes. And I'm trying to find ones who stole a cart that should just be full of shit for a bar. I wonder why people would steal that.
Grudge, competition. Maybe they're trying to make the bar uh, fail. I don't. I could tell you.
No interesting directions you could point me in come to mind. Or a familiar face, even.
He shakes his head. The half orc kind of straightening up a little bit as he's watching this happen.
And Magnus is going to slowly lean really close to so his head is next to the bugbear's head, away from the orc, and he just says, I don't respect you or your friend. You both are tiny and obviously weak. I did you the courtesy of asking nicely. I will give you the benefit of the doubt once. Do you know anything that is useful to me?
He shakes his head. Not quite cowering, but trying to maneuver himself in such a way that if needed, he could make an escape.
And then he's just going to stand back up straight so that he's just looking down on both of them again, and he just looks at the orc. Might you have an answer?
He says, he just kind of looks at you, kind of raises an eyebrow and says, "Look, buddy, we're just guards. We're paid to stand here and keep people out."
Shut up. And he looks back at the bugbear. Guards see so much. That's why it's so useful and annoying to talk to them. Pray you don't see me again. No, you're fine. I don't smell lies on your breath. But your friend, if I see him again and he's not covering this gate, you'll find his head in your bed. For both your sakes. Hope you never see me. And he's gonna walk back into the city.
As you walk past, you get probably about 30, 40 meters, and you can hear the half orc kind of scoff a little bit and begins to. What languages do you speak?
Common and giant.
Okay. They begin to speak in a language that you don't understand behind you as you continue walking into the city.
How many guards are around? Other than those two, how many guards are around?
Roll a perception check.
The one thing this motherfucker can't take is those who question his promises.
What was that perception check, my dude?
21. Yeah, I was
21.
still.
Looking around after you kind of stopped in the gate and looked around, originally you only noticed the two guards. Looking around now and actually taking in the environment, there's probably within line of sight of these two, or that who could see these two, there's probably about 15 other guards that are kind of moving around, or individuals that probably are helping with the guards. A lot of them actually watching you at the moment as you walk in. Kind of those that are close to each other muttering to one another, but they were pretty well hidden where they were. And based on how some of them are hiding, you get the feeling that there might be more than what you're seeing right now.
Magnus just spits in the dirt, looks around, and like he makes it real fucking obvious that he sees them. And he, with just a cold, dead stare, he just says, just loud enough for the closest one to hear. My problem was with the orc. Get in my way and you die just as easily. And he's gonna keep walking.
Right. On that note, we will jump to the other party, who is entering the tavern several hours earlier. Trinket's going to go over to Sylvia and begin to speak with her. Journey, what are you doing?
Tiefling, a tabaxi, a halfling, and a lizard folk walk into a bar. Ouch. I'll look to see if there's any caravan guards around here.
Roll perception check.
Dirty 16.
Dirty 16. All right. Looking around, you don't see anyone that might resemble a kind of a convoy kind of guard of any kind. You do notice since you did leave, there's about 5 or 6 more people in here. 3 of them do look like travelers of sorts. One of which is actually not a beast folk of any kind. It looks to be a half elven man dressed in various cloths and wrappings that seem to be protecting his skin. Hood dropped at the moment, and you can see this short brown hair. He's got his back to you at the moment, and he seems to be kind of arched over a tankard as he's sitting quietly on the end of the bar. The other 2 that look like travelers, one of them is another tabaxi who's off to the side, dressed in very, very fine robes. They're also drinking from what looks to be their own tankard. Talking very, very loudly to a werewolf and a bugbear who seem to be very interested in what they have to say. You also notice on this person they're wearing several rings on their hand and seem to have a very large ruby amulet hanging from their neck, as well as a band that kind of rests on the top of their head, similar to like I'm not gonna say like it would sit similar to like a tiara type deal or like a crown. It's like a little band that kind of sits on the top of the head. And the last individual that is sitting in there looks to be a minotaur who's just quietly sitting at one of the tables by himself, enjoying a meal, and about 3 tankards that are sitting in front of him.
I think I'll start with the wealthy tabaxi.
All right. You head over while they're in the middle of a conversation, and you see this tabaxi pull out. Let me find the specific item. Oh, he's pulled out a ring and is trying to kind of sell it to one of the individuals that he's talking to. And as he kind of looks around, he turns and notices you coming up and says, "Well, hello there. Are you another interested buyer of sorts?"
Of sorts. You're a trader then?
"Yes, merchant by trade, yes."
What product?
Anything magical.
Magical.
You must have heard of me. Do I not seem familiar to you in any kind of way?
I'm new around here.
I see.
So I assume you have convoys coming into the city with your goods?
Oh, no. I travel around by my own cart.
Makes sense. I've heard of bandits assailing any convoys coming into the city as of late.
Well, any that would try to attempt to take my cart from me is better off dead.
And what did you say your name was again?
The name is Reginald.
Reginald. Do you have a shop here in town?
Not quite here, but technically I can get to my shop anywhere, as long as my cart is nearby.
Well, maybe I'll chase you down later, so I'll get your goods. Thank you for your time.
Well, I look forward to seeing you again. He continues to try to sell whatever kind of ring he's holding to these 2 that he's talking to. Who would you like to move towards next?
The elf.
The elf. All right. You head over to him. He's. Are you just like sitting next to him? What do you plan to do?
Yeah, I'll sit next to him.
Okay. So you sit down next to him, and as you sit next to him, he kind of makes a soft grunt a little bit and shifts. And based on the way he moves, it seems that he had fallen asleep a little bit, and he was just kind of sitting up. And he kind of glances at you tiredly a little bit, looks back at his tankard, lets out a sigh, kind of downs a portion of it.
Or you say something like, "Oh,
No, you
what
keep
you're saying?
going. Yeah, you got it.
Sorry, friend. I didn't realize you were asleep. I apologize for rousing you from your rest."
It's fine. Just been traveling quite some time.
Oh, wait, where'd you come in from?
South.
Never been more south than here, myself.
I came out of Tiberia. I had some business there. Ran from bandits and a few other misfortunes along the way.
Bandits? Did you run into any around here?
No, luckily not. The last set of bandits that I encountered were much further south. Just between Mirage and Gravewell. It's actually a miracle that I'm actually here. Not sure how I made it this far.
What's your trade?
Just a hired hand. Though the employer that I had didn't make the trip. So I lost my paycheck.
What are they hiring you to do?
I was to help them acquire an item. We didn't get anywhere close to where we were going to acquire it, and when I checked their body after the fact, well, they had nothing on them. Nothing of worth, at least.
It's unfortunate. Might I ask what you're trying to acquire?
There was nothing I wanted to. It was some artifact that they were after.
Artifact.
Yes.
Do you happen to have the information about this artifact lying around? Like, who are we supposed to meet?
I was given very little on what the artifact was. I was just simply told to help navigate to the location he wanted to go.
This guy a local?
Well, he's dead. He was local, but he's dead.
Perhaps his place of residence has more information on it.
And I would have gone there if only I had such information. I'm a little high and dry right now.
Well, I'm sure if you could acquire the information on that deal and this artifact, you could sell it off for a good amount of money. The bartenders here like giving out jobs. So I'm sure they'd value that information. Might be able to sell it themselves.
Sure. I'll think about talking with them.
Well, good luck, friend.
Yes, to you too. He kind of goes back to staring at his tankard kind of blankly.
Guess I'll come to the Minotaur.
All right, you walk over to him, and at around this point, he's finishing up the meal that he has in front of him. He's downing one of the tankards, and he kind of glances over at you. Kind of grunts a little bit at the sight of you. Doesn't say anything at first, just kind of watches you.
I'll ask him if he wants another.
Are you buying?
Why not?
Then sure. He proceeds to drink the second tankard. Takes a large swig out of it. So you get him a fourth?
Yeah, how much?
It'd be a silver piece.
Yeah.
Right. You bring it over to him, set it down. He kind of nods a little bit, kind of looks a little surprised. I don't think, based on what you can tell, generosity is not something that happens a lot here. And he kind of looks to you and says, "So, what is it that you want?" Because everyone has a price here. Nobody just buys a drink unless they want something.
That's true. I'm looking for information.
About?
Well, proprietors hired me to help track down where their shipments have been going, and I'm trying to figure out, well, who's been taking them. This place doesn't have really any proper law enforcement. Can't talk to the guards about it. And, well, I'm just about running out of leads.
Lets out this hearty laugh uh, before looking at you. He says, "Well, I've heard a few rumors about thieves. Um, though I don't have much information about any of them. I think the only one that I've ever gotten a glimpse of is, I believe he was a hobgoblin. But, of course, I could have seen a different one. Thieves
Yeah, I can
generally
see the
keep to
problem.
themselves. Yes, yes. It's a rough town to get information like that. He starts. He finishes off his second tankard, kind of lets out a loud belch, chuckles to himself, then proceeds to start on the third. What's your passive
Well,
perception, Journey? Real quick.
my passive perception is 12.
12. Okay, that's enough. It wasn't a very high check for this. Around this point, while he's chuckling to himself, you notice a very familiar hooded figure kind of wander into the bar. Familiar bright yellow eyes look around the room, the whitish muzzle peeking just from under the hood for a moment before the individual heads towards the bar.
Mintar, well, enjoy your fourth friend.
He gives you a nod, says, "It was a pleasure," and he starts drinking gets deep into his third. As you turn, you see this figure approach the bar and leans over towards where Kai is currently cleaning a mug and begins to converse with him. You can hear a little bit of the conversation, though you don't understand it because they are speaking in very. It's language you don't know. A lot of growling and kind of uh, almost feralish language. And in the midst of it, the hooded individual pulls out a large sack and places it before Kai, who then begins to look within the sack for a moment. What do you wish to do while you're watching this?
I'll make my way back over to Trinket. What kind of keeping them in view?
Yeah, so by this point, Trinket's at the other end of the bar from the half asleep half elf. She's sitting there kind of looking around, just kind of taking a gauge over the room. She also has noticed the hooded figure, but is trying not to stare too much.
I'll head over to her and see if she's made any progress.
Okay. As you are walking over there, you do see Kai give a bit of a smile, make a small comment before putting the sack underneath the counter and pulling out what looks to be a coin purse, a very fairly sized coin purse, and handing it over to the individual, who then gives him a nod and begins to move out of the door.
Well, that was suspicious. I tell Trinket.
She looks at you and she says, "Well, we are in Drygen."
I suppose suspicion is the name of the game. Any luck on your end?
Um, well, Dusk is going to stay here for most of the day. I've only heard rumors of thieves. That's about the extent of what I've gotten.
Same. Heard about a hobgoblin thief, perhaps?
That could be a lead. I would
That
probably
could
say
be the
we,
lead, but there's a lot of hobgoblins, so.
yes. We should probably try to get more information before we go, or before we speak with the barkeep again.
We could always ask Cal if he's had any run-ins with a hobgoblin.
True, we could. She's watches as the hood individual finally like walks out the door and disappears from sight. She says, "I'm curious of that one though, and where his companion was."
Perhaps you should tail him.
Roll a persuasion check.
Okay. Persuasion check. Go.
I feel like this is something your talent or whatever is gonna work for.
Okay, I rolled a 5, so that becomes a 10 because silver tongue, which means 22. Oh, wait, 21. I can't
21.
count.
She looks to you for a moment, gives a nod, and says, "I'll let you know what I see." She quickly runs out the door.
Make my way over here, Draka, and ask him if he's learned anything.
No.
He talked. My God. Okay. I'll approach the barkeep then.
Alright, he is back to cleaning a mug as he was before, kind of humming to himself as he does. Glances up at you as you come up and sets down the mug that he's cleaning. Leans forward.
Hello. We were wondering if you had any run-ins with any hobgoblin thieves. Perhaps we're still
Hob-
trying to get a firm lead on your problem here.
Hobgoblin. I knew one some time back, but no, it couldn't be him. I'm pretty sure he was killed a few years back.
Hey, being dead's never stopped anyone.
You should tell that to some of the individuals that I traveled with once. And he kind of pulls the collar of his shirt to the side a little bit, and you can see a large scar on his shoulder. And he says, "Technically, I should have been one of them." And he kind of
I'm sorry
tucks the
for your
scar away.
loss.
They were assholes anyways. And I got a bigger paycheck in the end.
Because that's one way to look at it. We have one of our number investigating outside the city to see if there's perhaps any remnant left behind of this attack and to talk with the guards.
You mean the big guy, the one that didn't want to come in here?
Yeah, he's smarter than he looks, and his form makes him good at intimidation.
Let's see. Well, maybe he'll find something.
Perhaps.
Though, if I'm to remember correctly, he'll probably just find the remnants of last week's shipment, which isn't much, but it might be something with the right
Did you
person.
say that last week's shipment was stolen in its entirety?
Yes, and the convoy was killed on the spot.
Do you have the manifest for what you ordered in that shipment?
As much as I would enjoy to share that with you, there are a few personal items on that manifest that I do not wish to share.
Understand. I was thinking perhaps we could check warehouses and see if any of the, well, contents match the exact description of your shipment. Then figure out who uses the warehouse.
I would be cautious snooping around. A note to keep in mind. There are eyes everywhere in this town. I wouldn't recommend snooping around too much unless, well, you wish to cause trouble for yourself.
Hey, snooping's what we do best. And with Magnus and Draka, they've got the strength to back it up.
That may be the case, but it's still dangerous. So I would recommend treading with caution.
Besides, if we announce our intention, well, it's very likely that whoever we're looking for will find us first.
Or they'll hire someone to do it for them.
And then we kill them, or we capture them, find out who hired them.
Oh, you do sound a lot like a man that I used to work with. I was glad the day that I didn't work with him again. Cost
Well,
me a lot of headache.
sometimes social niceties will only get you so far. Sometimes it's best to let your adversary trip over their own tail, as it were.
Well, if you get any more information, don't be afraid to share. And
Understood.
if I find anything out, even if it is unlikely, I will let you know.
Of course, it'll be in your best interest.
Well, of course. And if we do find whoever is doing this, well, and you take care of them for me, that would be wonderful. And I would pay you for every bit of work.
Seems so. We don't do work for free.
As you shouldn't.
Well, I'm off then. Let's see what else I can scare up.
Yep. Good luck. Tread carefully.
Yeah, I'll turn to leave the bar.
Trinket jumps off her seat and follows suit. I assume
Wasn't she
Andraka
trailing
follows.
Wasn't
Oh
Trinket
yeah, she's
trailing
already
the guy?
gone. She's already gone. Yeah, that's right. My bad. I'm forgetting details. Yes.
Trinket's just gonna leave the bar and follow his objective marker.
Yes, and roughly around the time that you do get out of the bar, you see her, kind of running down the street a little bit. She didn't look to be in a hurry, as in like running from something, but she is like trying to get back. She sees you and kind of slows to a walk as she approaches. Says, I did see her as friend. They seem to have teleported away again.
It's a neat trick.
Yeah, that seems to be their trend, is to just disappear.
Wasn't able to get much out of Kel. He used to know Hobgoblin thief, but believes I'm dead. And I wasn't able to get manifest out of him. Personal items, he said, would be too embarrassed for us to know.
I don't think it's embarrassment. I think it's more of watching his assets, probably. Some of the items he probably has are worth quite a bit, or the ones that he was going to get.
I'm a
I know.
merchant of magical wares, but he doesn't seem the type.
I know his type. You'd probably be surprised by the items he probably has on his person. Which you probably didn't try to cast any sort of detection magic, did you?
No, that ain't my forte.
Ah. Well, if you were to have done that, you probably would have seen a number of things on him. But that's not important.
Well,
Where would you like to head next?
we should probably meet up with Magnus. See if he's found anything out.
Probably find us here.
Well, he won't come in here. To the he won't
I
enter the
mean,
bar.
out here. I mean,
He does have a way of finding people.
he does. We could always just wander until he finds us. Yes.
Why not, right?
Sure. Lead the way, I guess.
Have any references where we go, Andraka? You don't have to say anything, you can just point.
I stare blankly.
He's doing the thing again.
I'll just assume he's looking at a place. I'll turn around and I say that way.
I'm gonna roll d6 and see what direction he's staring. Where's my d6? Where the fuck did my d6 go? Alright, I'm rolling a d4. And it's gonna be one of 4 directions. Okay, yeah. He's staring towards the eastern end of town. Kind of down one of the roads.
I guess we go that way.
Alright. Roll.
Tally ho.
Are you looking for anything specific, or are you just kind of observing?
I'm observing. Maybe looking for like warehouses, that kind of stuff.
Roll a perception check for me. If you would be so kind.
Yeah, 10. Dirty.
Dirty 10. Alright, look at my notes real quick. Okay, yeah. You don't really notice much anything. You do see a lot of people traveling the streets. Many of them scowl as you pass, or simply give you a emotionless expression as they watch you pass by. You're not exactly the type of person that travels in a town like this. You're in very bright clothing, I think. Or you have the cloak of many fashions, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what you had that set for last. I think you had done a black cloak, but even then,
I think I did it. I think I did kind of like some desert worthy clothing.
that's right. Yeah. Your posture and your demeanor and just your general presence does not match the atmosphere, and a lot of people can tell. A lot of people are watching you as you pass by. Trinket looks a little uneasy by this.
Friendly folks.
She doesn't exactly respond. She just kind of eyes darting around, looking around. Nervously, she doesn't seem to want to. She doesn't like the amount of eyes that are kind of keeping track of her. Magnus, were you heading in any particular direction when you entered the city? Or are you just kind of wandering?
After a little bit of walking, I'm gonna actually check the ground, because what I want to see is that it makes sense that there's a lot of tracks and stuff on the ground. I'm not imagining this place has any kind of paved road, but perhaps a cart with a lot more than the usual amount of riders, or a cart with a lot more than the usual amount of loot, so to say, would be considered heavier, would look heavier in their track marks. And
I would
so I'm trying to
say
get I'm trying to get a look at that.
roll a. I'm gonna say perception or survival.
That is 24.
You do find various tracks. They're not. Was that a perception roll or a survival roll?
Survival.
Survival. So you do find a lot of tracks, as you've done many times before. You can, most of them you can distinguish between each other. There didn't seem to be many cart tracks. It seems that, and you, as you're looking around and kind of observing the various tracks you find, you kind of come to realize that there isn't much space for carts on some of these roads. And it seems more often than not, it's more foot traffic than anything else. Occasionally, there are a few horse or like hoof prints, uh, kind of moving about, but other than that, there is no carts.
Hmm.
Probably not what you wanted to hear, but it is the fact of the reality that of what you had found.
Are there hobos and vagrants on the edges of the streets?
Um, I wouldn't say hobos, but there are people wandering in the shadows. Uh,
I'm looking for the stereotypical dude who obviously doesn't have a place to live, so he just took that one street corner, put all his shit there that he owns in the world, and just stayed there.
so if this was any other city, I would say you would definitely find one. However, this is a criminal city that they kick out people who don't have anything to contribute. So I would say you probably wouldn't find a person like this. You would find you could find people uh who may be hanging out in alleyways as if they're trying to like keep low for a time or like there's not necessarily anyone living on streets, but it's a lot of the activity is either people passing through, people kind of lurking in shadows and watching, or people having like kind of gatherings within alleyways and type stuff.
Within those alleyways, I'm gonna look for a group of anyone who looks especially young or stupid. So, young.
Roll a perception check.
You gotta know your targets. That's a 16.
Okay. Wandering about, do you do come across an alleyway with it is a group of younger folk. Um, there seems to be a human man in his probably mid 20s, uh, two goblins with him who look fairly young, and also a Fearbolg, not the one that you'd run into in the desert, but also a younger Fearbolg who looks uh, pretty roughed up, as if he had recently had a conflict of some sort. A few cuts and bruises that are currently healing over his uh, kind of around his face and chest and arms and such. They all seem to be gathered near the middle of this alleyway, talking to one another, kind of keeping their voices low, and seem to be speaking in a language you don't quite understand.
Whose turf is around the north gate?
They all kind of stiffen up and turn, take a few steps away. And one of the goblins says, what do you mean?"
Who believes they own territory near the north gate?
Um, uh, they're all kind of look into each other. Uh, there's a lot of people who claim that area.
Which are the closest to the gate?
Um, and they mutter to each other real quick.
Did I stutter speak clearly?
Uh, and as you say that, one of the goblins yelps and just straight on bolts, and he is gone. Um, the other three are kind of stiffen up once more. Um, and I'm trying to come up with I'm trying to buy time for myself and come up with a name because I didn't come up with all the fucking gangs in this town. Let me look through some notes real quick.
The sand snakes. See?
I
The
like
sand
how
serpents.
I like how people are actively more terrifying when they don't get angry, but they just keep demanding attention like that.
I have an image that I'm picturing of Magnus, and how things are playing out is kind of goes along with the image that I picture for him. Um, the human.
Like, this is a more aggro version of Jules in Pulp Fiction in the greatest scene of that movie. What
English,
does Mar-
motherfucker, do you speak it?
what does Marcellus Wallace look like? What does Marcellus Wallace look like?
He's so good. He's such a great actor. Um, he says the human kind of pipes up and just says, "The Rileys are the ones that are probably closest to the gate."
Magnus just tosses a small bag with like 5 gold in it to their feet and walks away.
They do not move until you are out of sight. And you hear roughly, probably about a half a second after you go out of sight, you hear the sound of someone snatching something off the ground and then feet just rapidly making distance.
Let them fight.
No, they're running in fear. They clearly don't want anything to do with whatever just
Oh, I
happened.
thought one person snatched a coin and ran off.
Like
These,
at this I would like to remind the party, at this point, I'm pretty sure just because of how old and tattered what Magnus calls a vest is, it is like his fucking raider tats are really obvious. So even if he wasn't this aggro, there's just that shit showing off that he is a ruthless murderer who would happily take your head
well, and
off.
you've picked people so far that would not necessarily want to tussle. So you've been smart about that. If you would have picked some other people, then the situations would have gone differently. But
Know thy enemy.
yeah. All right. So what are you doing with that information?
Well, I'm gonna go back closer to the north gate, and I'm gonna start looking for similar congregations of idiots.
Roll another perception check.
19.
19. All right. As you are kind of looking around, uh, there's a few groups you notice. Um, there is a group of 4 kobolds that seem to be arguing about something um, on the kind of a street corner. One of them kind of hitting the other one on the side of the head while the other two kind of argue about something else. You also notice a group of uh, about 4 goblins that seem to be weaving in and out of alleyways, watching various people, and seem to be taking notes as they have pieces of parchment in hand and are writing things down using bits of charcoal that they have. And the last group that you see is four four cloaked humanoid individuals. You don't really make out any details on them, and they seem to be passing between one alleyway and trying, and they're kind of heading into a southward direction within the city.
I'm gonna go over to the kobolds. And I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm just going to look at them and like take out a pouch with 100 silver and just fucking shake it in their direction.
Okay, you shake it, and they go quiet for a moment, and they slowly kind of turn in your direction. And one of them goes, "Can I help you?"
100 silver for all information on those who entered the north gates from 2 weeks ago to now.
Well, that is a very long list.
I know.
Uh, um, is there anyone you're looking for in particular? Maybe narrow it down?
Around here, thieves don't narrow it down much, do they?
Hmm.
Raiders, they knocked over a supply cart.
Oh, you talking about the pile of scrap about a mile and a half away?
Yes.
No one from that came from the North Gate.
You're getting closer to this 100 silver. Keep talking.
Um, there's a group. Um, don't know where they are specifically, but um, I think it's five of them. We did. I did witness them moving on some strange device outside the city around the time that that cart was destroyed.
Do they frequent inside the city, or do they stay outside?
They when I saw them on the odd machine, they remained outside the city. I didn't see where they went. They just kind of went along the edge of the city until they were out of my sight.
A
His,
150 silver if you tell me the name of someone who's had them in their sight line afterwards.
his eyes get a little wider, and he glances behind you and looks in the direction of another alleyway. And as you kind of turn and look in that direction, you see one of the goblins taking notes.
Oh yeah, I'll give him the silver.
You toss him the silver, and his eyes get really wide, and then the other ones start kind of trying to fight over it, and they're just
Um,
kind of arguing again, back to arguing as they're kind of sitting there hitting each other.
Alright, I'm gonna go see that goblin now.
All right.
Let's see here. So I'm gonna go over to him. I'm just look over at him. A group of 5 men riding a strange device. Where did they go?
One second. Let me look at my notes. Uh, hmm. You're not from around here, are you? I'm kind of
No.
looks you up and down.
Do you recognize my tattoos?
They're very. I'm not going to say familiar, but I do know of them. Do you? How much gold do you have on you?
If I told you, I would rip your skull from your shoulders.
Kind of chuckles a little bit at your comment. He says, "Information doesn't come for free here."
100 silver. I know this place uses that standard.
Talking about to the peasant little kobolds. I get paid more than that for doing a simple job.
Hmm. And Magnus looks around and he gets down on one knee, and and he kind of just puts a hand on his coin pouch because of the nature of his weapon now, he just now doesn't have a weapon on him. And he's just like,
Mm.
and he speaks very softly. I can't just say how much I'll pay so publicly. And he kind of just motions for him to get closer.
He smiles at you, takes a slight step back, and says, "Draw a number in the dirt."
Hmm. I hate the smart ones. Hold on, I have to look at my abilities real quick. Nothing wildly useful. All right. 80 gold.
Roll a persuasion check.
15.
15. He looks intrigued. He says, "Could you possibly add something to maybe spice in the pot just a little more?"
Your life?
My life doesn't matter.
I guess it wouldn't. Do you fear pain?
No.
No. No. I once met a man who chose to con my father. This was long after he attempted it. I could never shake that man's hand, for my father had torn both of them from him. And then he tore off the rest of his arms. But he took a torch and he cauterized the wounds so that that man would not die from such a horrible maiming. And then my father took an axe and he cut off both of that man's legs for burning the stumps. And then he took a dagger and ripped out his tongue before burning the stump. And then he carved out that man's eyes. And that man somehow survived. He survived as a living thing, for he could not walk or speak or even see. He was trapped within the cold flesh of his own body, never to die, only to feel pain and the void that surrounded him after the wrath of my father. 90 gold, and you get to keep your legs.
All right. Show me the gold.
Yeah, he just pulls out 90 gold.
All right. Says, toss it on the ground, and then I'll talk. I won't snatch anything.
Magnus takes 50 of that gold and he drops it onto the ground and he holds the rest in his hand. Speak.
All right. The five you're looking for. There's two half orcs. A very nasty type. There's a tiefling individual among them, hobgoblin, and very odd. I want to call her an assassin type. They call themselves the Sandstriders. Their base, I do not know where. They just tell me to collect information from time to time. And he holds up the little thing of papers that he's holding and says, "Generally, I just drop them off at a point. Someone comes by and gives me my pay and takes the papers."
What an interesting thing. I will need today's papers.
He looks at them. Looks at you. Says, well, I assume you're going to kill them, so here. And he just kind of tosses the pile onto the ground. And due to there not being any wind, the pile lands relatively cleanly in the sand next to the 50 gold.
Enjoy your gold. And he drops the rest and takes the papers.
All right. And you're just going to walk away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he actually does turn around real quick and just says, it would be intelligent to not talk about this. I imagine you'd like to keep your tongue while you still have it. And then he's gonna leave. Wait, hold on. Tyler, he did tell me where that drop-off point was, right?
He didn't say where the drop off point because he's just kind of told it. Based on what you got is he's just told a spot to go, and it's not always the same spot. And he goes there and then does the trade off and then leaves. Because this group, based on what you've heard so far, is this group knows what they're doing. They're not going to use the same points over and over again.
All right.
You hear him quickly gather up the gold, look around before ducking into a shadow and out of sight.
All right.
All right, so are you going to find the others with that information, or what is your plan now?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna try to find them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not hard. You do end up finding them. You guys all end up reconvening somewhere near probably the center of Drygen. Magnus, you see them first as they're kind of. You see Trinket looking a little nervous as they're kind of walking around, and Journey seems to be drawing eyes to her, even though she's made an attempt to disguise herself to blend in with this environment. And then Andraka's just kind of just present, mostly.
Magnus goes over to Journey and Trinket, and he hands them the papers. These are the reports of the thieves. Spy. They are not based within this place. They stay in the desert. There's 5 of them.
Yeah, Trinket quickly grabs it and folds it up, tucks it under her cloak, and says, "We probably shouldn't speak of this in the street."
You got a lot more progress done than we did.
Money and threats are useful.
Yeah, you mentioned was there a hobgoblin among them?
Yes.
I've heard rumors of a hobgoblin. I'll have to check their identity. What's become to them? Perhaps it's Kel's dead friend.
You guys keep talking about it.
Well,
Keep talking.
Lovely weather today, huh?
there is the problem of the other 4. What were you able to find out?
Not much. You seem to have found a lot more information than we have. Wasn't able to get a manifest for this latest shipment, but apparently there's some sensitive items in this shipment.
These 5, they seem to ride an odd contraption. They're intelligent. They don't leave things to chance. Covered their tracks. However, once they find out their little spy has stopped collecting information for them, they will find a bit of pressure that may help us if they slip up. We'll still have to find them.
I did come back. I was fighting insects. Sorry.
Did you win?
Yes, I won.
Rip.
But okay. Trinket says, well, we should probably bring this information back to the full moonshine. I think the barkeep might have information that might go along with this if we tell him this information. Or he might have a lead, I mean.
Perhaps.
So shall we go?
Might as well.
Right.
Seems so.
And she kind of quickly kind of turns and begins to lead you guys back to the tavern. I assume Magnus is just going to wait outside.
Yes.
He waits outside. You guys head inside. By this point, it's been a few hours, so it's about probably mid-afternoon, entering evening-ish. And you head over towards the bar, where the barkeep is currently speaking with one of the patrons, and around this point, it's become a lot busier within the bar. There's quite a few people, and he sees all of you come up to the bar, and four of you come in. The three of you come in. He kind of gives a smile, kind of moves to the side of the bar, leans up against the edge, and waits for you to approach. And as you do, he says, "So, what did you find?" And if you want, we can just say you tell him everything you found out.
I explained to him everything that our friend Magnus relayed to us.
As you finish, he gives several nods and he goes, Sandstriders. I do know about them. I guess that damn hobgoblin did survive all those years ago. Well, shit. Alright. Well, I know where they're possibly holding up. And he looks around and he gestures for you to follow him. He says, "Come with me." He moves into a sort of a back room that on the door it does say owners only on the door. And when he goes up to it, he pulls out a thing of keys and he unlocks the door and opens it up. And he pauses for a moment and turns and says, he calls out, he says, "Sylvia, come here, please." She kind of comes over from the piano and they speak for a moment in the same language you had heard him speak with the hooded figure before. And she quickly goes in the room, mutters a few incantations, and comes out and says, "All right, it should be fine now." She gives you a smile, Journey, and then heads back out towards the bar. Kai leads you inside this new room that you now get to be introduced to. There's a it's a fairly large room filled with various crates. Two large back tables that are pressed against the wall. One of which is covered in a series of knickknacks, various weapons, as well as on sort of a stand there's a large scoped rifle that is sitting on top of this stand.
Wow, nice piece.
And on the other table, you do see what appears to be a map and a couple other items, various potions, things of that nature. As you say that, he kind of kind of gives you a bit of smirk, and he says, "This prized weapon of mine. It's gotten me far." Anyway, and he takes you over to the map, and the map that's sitting there is actually a map of the city. And he gestures to a certain spot on the map, and he says, "This point right here, there's a sort of stable that's built into the wall of the city. We used to use it as a transport, kind of a depot, a place to store our horses and various loot that we'd managed to acquire before moving it either in or out of the city. That's probably your best bet to check. I will warn these individuals will probably be prepared for any assault on them.
Are there
Not much
any
on
other ways of egress besides the main entrance?
It's either the outer entrance, which, well, if I'm to be honest, is a bit of a pain in the ass to get into if you don't have the key. I would say just attack from the inward position. You might have a bit of surprise on them depending on if they've been informed or not.
I gotta go.
You gotta go.
I gotta go. I might be back, but I have no fucking clue. I gotta go.
Okay, he's gone. Anyway, I guess I will use him if it comes down to that. He says I would suggest attacking from the main entrance from the city. It's probably your best bet, and depending on if they've been informed or not, you might actually still get a bit of surprise on them. It just depends. But and I would come and help you. But I'm currently, well, busy. I can talk with Sylvia and see if she will possibly accompany you.
Every little bit helps.
Of course. And I will say she will not, well, she won't engage unless absolutely necessary.
That's fair.
But she can be there to watch your back. So, if you all wish to be on your way, I will go speak with Sylvia. And he kind of gestures for all of you to kind of move out of the room. Trinket gives him a nod and makes her way out.
I depart as well.
Right? I assume Andraka does the same. If he doesn't speak, he follows. That's how I've kind of learned. As you guys go out, he whistles out, and Sylvia comes back around the corner, comes back in the room, and they close the door for a minute. You hear hushed whispers on the other side of the door before they both come back out. Sylvia turns to all of you and says, "All right, are you planning to leave now?"
Guess no time like the present. Got that lightning gun of yours prepped, Andraka?
I stare.
Broken?
Right.
What do you mean?
Can you understand him?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think we're properly armed for this.
All right. Well, if you wish to lead the way. She kind of gestures for you to, lead the way
Okay.
towards the place that you must go.
Let's us go there then.
Right, and you guys head out of the Full Moonshine Tavern, and begin making your way towards the building that you were told about. Sylvia seems to, upon you guys exiting the building, you hear a quick, almost a whoosh kind of noise. And as you turn you no longer see Sylvia behind you, but you see what looks to be a desert hawk sitting upon a railing. Uh, Similar, and as you turn and look at it, you can see the eyes are very similar to hers, and you make the assumption that it is her. She just used the spell polymorph on herself,
Neat.
and she lets out a small squawk before taking to the air. Begins kind of circling over you and watching as you guys make your way towards uh, this stable. Um, the roll actually everyone roll a perception check for me.
Nat 20.
12.
Wow, a nat 20 and Draco just on fucking point this time. Okay. And Draco. Um, as you so you guys don't notice anything in general from the people around. Upon approaching the stable though, and Draco, you do notice um only moments before it comes in sight, you see a small individual rushing away from the stables. As you're the only one who notices this though. Everyone else seems quite oblivious to this act that has occurred in front of you. Um, and uh, as you guys get closer, the building seems undisturbed. You do hear voices on the inside as you get near the building itself, but they seem to be speaking with one another. So, how do you guys wish to do this?
Perhaps we should proceed stealthily and see if we can hear what they're saying.
Yeah, the voices at the moment are muffled due to them being behind a wall. Trinket gives a bit of a nod, says, do we all want to try to sneak in, or what would
You
be
and I would probably be sufficient. We get in trouble, and Draka and Magnus can rough him up a little bit.
true? So I guess I'll lead the way.
Sure.
Okay. And she roll a stealth check.
Okay. Nat 20. So
Wow.
26.
You are very stealthy, boy. You are with those boots. You are quiet. A mouse could not be as quiet as you are.
Didn't even
Trinket,
have to roll advantage.
yeah, Trinket is following suit very as just pretty much just as quiet as you are. You pass through the front door, which is partially open, and it looks to be the front area. It looks to be a sort of almost a lounge. Not well, not quite a lounge. There's an open space, a small open room. Seems to be empty, and upon moving towards the doorway, towards the actual stable itself, you can see within. You see in the line of sight that you can see there are three individuals. Um, you see two half orcs, which seem to be um, one of them looks a little irritated. The other one kind of arms crossed, looks a bit disappointed as they're talking. Um, and the third one you can see is this drow woman in a black cloak who's very very calmly speaking. What languages do you speak?
I speak Common and Infernal.
Okay. So you don't understand what they're saying, and Trinket looks a little confused as she's trying to understand them, but can't seem to do the same. And they seem to be arguing. Um, Peeking in a little further, you do also notice there's a large mechanical. You would assume probably be a vehicle based on what Magnus had told you about what he had found out. Um, it looks like this large metal platform, um, about roughly 10 to 15 feet in length, about 7 or 8 feet wide, uh, has various arcane runes etched in the sides of it, um, as well as a large, so it's similar to like a large fan on the backside, and a few seats.
Me likey.
Um, and as you get a further peek, it appears there are two others behind it that seem to be doing either what you can assume either some sort of inspection on it or maintenance of some sort. And
Well,
Trinket looks to you and kind of. She doesn't say anything, but you get the impression she's kind of looking to you like, "What do you want to? How do you want to do this?"
my way of thinking is we probably should go for the people nearest to that vehicle first so they can't escape or try to use it against us.
She backs away from the door a little bit, kind of moves towards the front door and gestures for you to come closer.
Oh, do that.
She whispers. She says, "Should we get everyone in here first and then try to attack, or should we just kind of
Probably.
make a lot of noise and have them just run in?"
I'll leave that up to you.
Mm. She says, "I do like the element of surprise, but well,
Well, we could
Magnus
always have.
makes an opportune, distraction, or as much as I hate to say it, shield. He's kind of
We could
designed
always
to
get
take
them to
targets."
attack from the main entrance while we sneak around the arrowway.
You're talking attack from the desert side.
Yeah. Engage from multiple angles. Just we could have Sylvia join us as well. Although she doesn't seem eager to fight.
She nods a little bit and says, "I don't think we should have two ways of going in, though. I don't think we should split." And you heard the
You
barkeep.
don't want to.
The entrance out there is a little difficult, he said, to get into.
Good point. Suppose we should just all attack from this angle then. But we'll want to close in on the vehicle as soon as possible.
Possibly, yes.
Take them out. We can seize that and it will make our journey across the desert far easier than by horse and cart.
She nods. And then she makes her way outside the door to kind of meet up with Magnus and Draka. She turns to you and Draka and says, "You ready?"
What's the plan?
I think we may just rush in, have Magnus go first. It may be the best option we have.
Okay. Did you see any fire in there?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna take my tinderbox and a torch out of my bag of holding,
Okay.
and then I'm going to light the torch
Okay.
and then I say I'm ready to go.
Okay. She looks at you a bit confused. And
Just
Hmm?
I'm gonna do something before we send Magnus in.
Okay.
But we can walk as a group before, just like we can get to the door and stuff. But before we go in, I'm just gonna do something.
Okay, so you all kind of slowly make your way to the door. What is it you're going to do?
Uh, did I say I lit the torch already?
Yes, I assume you lit the torch when you were preparing it.
Okay. Um, can I look in the room to see if there's any people close to each other?
I would say Trinket probably already told you the setup of the room, and there were
And
three near each other.
okay. How close would she say they were to each other?
Roughly 10 feet. They're
Good
having a
enough.
conversation.
I'm gonna throw the torch in the middle of them.
Okay, before you do that, I need everyone to roll a stealth check again, just to make sure that you guys go in quietly.
I rolled a nat 2, but I have the ability to roll with advantage because of the boots of elven kind.
And this is a
Uh,
group check, so it's based on everyone's rolls.
I got a 25.
Oh, I have a combined roll of 13 as my reroll.
All right, let me check something real quick. Okay, so you guys do manage. So yeah, I will let this happen. So you throw the torch into the room. What are you doing with the torch? Or is it just getting thrown?
I am gonna cast pyrotechnics and create fireworks. Oh,
Okay. Does that have a
those
damage with it?
no, it's those three people. They make a con save.
Or go blind?
Yeah, con save
Oh,
14.
all right. That's a fail. That's a fail. That is also a fail. All right. We got three blind people. And how long does the blindness last?
Uh, the end of my next turn.
Okay. So three of them
Should
are
we roll for
blind right
initiative?
now. I would say if you guys want to do something while he's doing this, this is your chance. I would give everyone an opportunity attack type deal right now.
Okay. Who's the biggest, baddest looking person around here?
From the three you can see, the two half orcs.
Okay. Uh, opportunity of attack. I would like to.
And you have advantage because they're blind.
I am going to throw my dagger of venom,
Okay.
poison that, and then throw it.
All right, roll that attack.
That's okay.
Yeah, in combat.
So that's 21.
21. That definitely hits. Roll damage for that knife.
5, but it's also poisoned.
Okay.
That remains for 1 minute or until an attack using this weapon hits a creature, whatever. Okay, now he has to succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw.
Which he does save. He does make that save.
Okay.
All right, so you chuck this dagger and it flies through the air as this individual is grabbing a hold of his eyes, and the dagger digs deep into his rib. And you said how much damage?
Just 5.
Just a cute little 5 damage. He lets out a
Um,
cry of pain.
Using crossbow expert attack, can I also use the bonus action to hit with a crossbow?
So with
Or is this
an attack of opportunity type, or this kind of sneak attack, it's usually one attack you get. It's the single
Okay.
action. Magnus is going to run in with his summoning the mad blade that he has, and he is going to swing it at the closest person, which hits. And he's using two hands, so that's going. Oh, he would have raged as well. So that is 12. Let's see, 12 plus. I think he gets damage. So that's 4. So 12 plus 4. No, 14. I'm trying to do math here, and it ain't working. My brain doing funny things. I'm rolling everything on D&D and Beyond. 14. He slashes the first guy, the closest one, the one that you didn't hit, for 19 points of damage. Yes. Trinket is going to fire a bow towards the cloaked individual, which she hits for. Nope, she does not hit, I don't think. Yeah, her shot misses. It goes a little wide, going right over the person as they're kind of wielding back from the blinding light that just hit them in the face. And on that note, it is now time to roll initiative. Someone roll initiative for me.
Not one.
I got 6. I almost got a nat 20, but the dice hit the edge of the screen.
That is the big unfortunate, sir. What the heck? Oh, okay. So D&D and Beyond is going to be stupid for this. Okay. So, so top of the order is going to be Trinket. Then it is us, and then it's Magnus, then it's Journey, then it's Andraka. All right. So Trinket immediately reloads one of her arrows and goes to fire another shot. This time hitting, and she is striking the one that Magnus is currently engaged with, so she hits for 10 points of damage plus another 12, so doing 22 points of damage to the one that Magnus is now fighting. And she is then going to take a second shot on the same one. Oh, no, she's going to take a second shot on the other half-orc, which hits for another 10 points of damage. So the two half-orcs are currently been bombarded with several shots and everything else. It is now their turn. The first half-orc is going to attempt to swing at Magnus, which is with disadvantage. Magnus's AC is that. Okay. Okay. First swing misses, and he's going to make an attack with a dagger now, which also misses due to him being blind. The other one is also going to attempt to swing at Magnus. First attack misses, and second one also misses. The two that were behind the cart, one of them is going to peek over for a moment before pulling out a crossbow, or not a crossbow, a short bow, and is going to fire in Magnus's direction. Which he hits. They hit. It is a he, not she. He hits for 4 points of damage. I'm driving the boat. Magnus. Bam. Wait, that should be 2 damage.
The SS
because-
Magnus.
Yes. He shoots Magnus with 1 arrow. The other individual who's also behind the the strange vehicle comes leaping over it and is going to rush past the group that's all surrounding Magnus and is going to rush towards all of you who's at the doorway, and he's first going to try to attack Trinket, which is a hit, and he is going to do 6 points of damage to Trinket on the first hit. Which as a rogue is quite a bit. Oh, I don't. And then he's going to make a second unarmed strike at Trinket, which also hits, doing another 8 points of damage. He's going to hit her again, missing the third strike at her, and is going to try one more time, hitting her for 7 points of damage. And she stumbles a little bit, blood running from her nose, and her eyes looking a little swollen after being sucker punched in the face 3 times. And it is now Magnus's turn, who is going to attempt to slice down the individual he is in front of, and I gotta make sure. I think he has 2 attacks now. Yeah, he is raging too. He is going to use his blade. I think he does have 2 attacks. I just need to double check. This is why I hate when players have to leave, because then I'm like, I have to play your character that I don't understand. Yeah, he gets 2 attacks. Cool. All right, he is going to make 2 swipes with his Mad Blade. First one hitting, and the second one also hitting. He's going to do... I'm just going to add all this damage together. 8, 15.
And he's back.
Oh, he's
Congrats
back.
for attacking.
Yeah, 15. 39, 43 points of damage to this individual, which he actually just chops down. So one of the half-orcs is dead. And Magnus, who just came back, you just chopped down a half-orc. You're currently fighting another one who's still blind, and another individual is near you who's also blind.
Oh, cool. I don't have to roll initiative. That's nice.
I already rolled your initiative, so... Journey, it's now your attack.
Okay. Bugbear, I got the attack of opportunity on. He's still up?
Not Bugbear, the...
the
half-orc. He is up,
Yeah.
but currently in front of you is the hobgoblin who just kicked the shit out of Trinket.
Oh, right. I would like to stab him.
Okay.
My
roll,
rapier.
Roll an attack with your rapier.
Dirty 20.
Okay, roll damage. That definitely hits. Most creatures cannot avoid an attack of 20.
10.
10 points of damage.
Yeah.
All right. You drive your rapier into kind of the side of his torso a little bit. He lets out a slight grunt, kind of leaning down a little bit as you strike him with this.
He's still up?
Yeah, he's still up.
Okay, then I'm going to use Crossbow Expert to shoot him, and because I have Crossbow Expert, I do not have to deal with the disadvantage of being within 5 feet of a hostile creature.
All right, then
Now I will shoot him.
Yeah, fire the crossbow bolt.
Okay. Nat 1, but it's a 7.
Nat 1. So you go to fire this at him, And as you do, he turns as you are doing this, and he just catches the bolt after it comes out.
I say, Kel sends his regards. Yep.
Oh, uh-oh.
He catches the.
And Draka, it is now your turn.
Ugh, how close is that guy to me?
Uh, I would say probably roughly a little more than 5 feet, maybe about 10, because you are kind of behind Journey a little bit. No, wait, you would be next to Journey, so you would all be, yeah, you're all within 5 feet of him. He just did all of his attacks to Trinket.
Oh, that means I'll have disadvantage. I can't shoot him.
You could back up, but you can provoke an attack of opportunity if you do that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna shoot other blind orc.
Okay. Fire that attacks you.
14.
That does not hit. So you go to fire this first shot, and the dude who's kind of blindly swinging around as you fire to try to hit him in the head, he kind of stumbles a little bit and just barely ducks underneath your shot. Do you have a second attack or no?
No.
No? All right. So it's back to Trinket, who's in a bit of a panic due to getting her ass kicked a little bit. And in her little bit of desperation, she begins to weave her hands together, and she is going to cast Magic Missile. And is going to do 12 points of damage to this individual before using a disengage and dashing out of the room past both of you to kind of get behind you and get away. It is now the enemy is 10. And they're all unblinded now because it is the end of Jared's turn. So the one half orc who was having an argument with his friend sees that his friend has just been chopped down by Magnus, and in his rage is going to attempt to make 2 strikes on Magnus. The first one misses. The second one also misses. So he does 2 swipes on Magnus. First with his scimitar he seems to kind of stumble a little bit, swing wide, and then go for a thrust with the dagger and just graze past Magnus in his enraged state. Also, Magnus, you should refresh your page because you did take a tiny, tiny bit of damage. It's like a mild scratch. The one who's still behind the machine in the room is going to whisper an incantation, and Magnus, I need you to roll a Constitution saving throw for me.
Okay, yeah, of course.
You're the only one within range of this attack, so that's why.
22.
22. All right, you take 6 points of thunder damage as this high-pitched noise just screeches out around you. And let's see. And I need to roll. What items do you have on you at the moment?
Oh, I keep it fucking lean. Let me see. I have an extra battle axe, a bedroll, 2 hand axes, a javelin, mess kit, a few weapons, some rope, tinderbox, water skin, potion of healing.
Okay, so
couple of
I rolled a couple checks. Oh, I need to. Okay. You hear something shatter in your pack. Not glass, but you hear the sound of metal breaking in your pack. And I'm going to take a note on what it was so that when you check, you know. Yeah, you hear the sound of something shatter in your pack, though. And then um, moments after this happens, you hear the individual who's standing behind you, which is this drow woman, um, mutter an incantation as she produces this sphere with her hands and proceeds to throw it in your direction, hitting you for. If I can find my dice and do some rolling, hitting you for 16 points of acid damage.
All right.
And you also notice as she does this, there seems to be a sort of shockwave that shoots around her as she fires the shot towards you.
And this is a different one from the one who did fucking thunder something.
Yeah, the one there's one in the back behind this large metal machine who's just kind of throwing stuff
And
from
that
way back
one is
there.
right behind me, right?
No, you are in front of the device, the
No,
large
I'm talking
machine.
about
Oh, this
second
one, yeah, this one is the second one is behind you about 10 feet.
Okay, and just to make sure, because I see you used a rage, did you choose a natural weapon?
I did not, only because I don't understand
Okay.
your character, so I just did the rage and just added the rage stuff to it. Because I assumed you would rage upon going into a fight like this.
All right.
Considering most barbarians do that. And the last one, who is badly injured before in front of you, Journey and Draka, is going to attempt to make a few unarmed strikes on both of you. What is your defense, Journey?
My armor class is 14.
14. His first swing on you misses as he kind of swings a little high and you manage to duck underneath. The second one, however, hits you for 8 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay. And as a reaction, I'm going to use Hellish Rebuke.
All right. What does he need to roll?
Okay.
Dex save?
Well, I'm going to. Yeah, that's a Dex save of 16.
16. He saves, so he'll take half damage. So roll
Okay.
damage.
Okay. Let's see. That is 9 points of damage.
So he will take 4 points of fire damage. And he winces a little bit. You see a decent amount of he's looking pretty bad off. And he turns to you, Andraka, and is going to attempt 2 strikes on you. What is your armor class?
17.
They both miss. His fist grazes off your shoulders. And as he misses the second attack, his eyes kind of go wide for a second, and he shifts over to a shadow that is just to the left of the doorway, and seems to disappear and reappear on the other side of the room, within another shadow. And it is now Journey's turn.
How far away is that dude?
Roughly 30 feet.
Okay. How far away is the drow?
The drow is about probably about between 10 and 15 feet.
Okay. And are there any other creatures clustered around her?
The drow has Magnus 10 feet in front of her, and then about 15 feet from her is the half-orc. In front of Magnus.
Screw it. Magnus will pass this check easy.
I'm slightly
going
over
to.
half health.
It's okay. It's a strength check. It doesn't do any damage. I'm going to cast Gust of Wind using my fan.
Okay.
So, I guess they have to roll a strength check of 13.
Well, the half-orc is knocked to the ground. He's knocked prone. The drow, however, manages to stick a blade into the ground and keep herself steady as this wind pushes past her.
Okay,
Magnus, what
so
did you
that
roll?
half orc would
A
be
15.
pushed 15
Okay, you're good.
feet away.
So yeah,
Okay.
the
So
half-orc is
Magnus is
pushed
still
15 feet back, kind of bumping into a wall as he is shoved backwards away from Magnus, which doesn't provoke attack of opportunity because it wasn't a choice. But
okay.
yes, so
And now I'm going to use can I use a bonus action for unsettling words?
yes, if it says you can use a bonus action point,
Okay.
you can.
Yeah, it's under my list. So
Okay.
I'm going to expend a token, and I'm going to choose the drow. And now I'm going to roll a d8.
And what does she have to roll?
Nothing. She gets no choice in this.
Oh, she gets no choice.
Yeah. So, she takes. Okay. I rolled an 8. Now the creature must subtract the number rolled from the next saving throw it makes before the start of your next turn.
Okay, -8 to its roll. Damn.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
was the max I could roll.
Damn, that's kind of
She's throwing acid. I gotta.
that's bonkers, bro. All
Yeah, I
right,
want
I
to give
didn't.
Magnus the opportunity to focus on that drow.
And Draka, it is now your turn.
I'm gonna shoot that hobgoblin that lovingly decided to get out of my disadvantage range.
All right, roll an attack.
26.
That hits. Roll that.
13 damage.
How do you want to do this?
Bang.
Okay, you fire a shot.
Ciao.
Yeah, it goes. You just slam him straight in the chest, knocking him against the wall, and he slowly slunks down it, blood smearing against the wall as he lays there lifelessly.
Jeremy's gonna yell, Kel sends his regards! Because he's dead now.
Yes. All right. Um, it is now Trinket's turn, who is in the room behind you, a little beaten up, actually very beaten up, very bloodied. At the moment, she is going to uh, make her way forward and re-enter the room, and she is going to cast Magic Missile again. Is going to aim all of the shots at the one in the back of the room. She's going to hit for 6 points of damage. And you kind of hear him swear under his breath, just shit. So he kind of ducks out of view behind the device that's near the back of the room. And then she is going to slunk back into the room and hide again. She's going to use the hide action, try to disappear. It is now their turn. So the half orc who got pushed away from Magnus is going to walk back towards Magnus, and with his scimitar going to take a swing and then try to stab him with the dagger. That was cocked.
Yeah.
Does a
I'm
17
gonna check
hit?
something quickly.
That's my armor class.
Okay, so that one hits, and then he's going to try with the dagger, which also hits. So he is going to inflict 4 points of slashing damage with the scimitar.
For Gust of Wind, it says any creature in the line. Okay, it must spend 2 feet of movement for every 1 foot it moves.
Which
so I don't
he would still be
know
able
if
to
that
move.
would influence. Okay.
And you are going to take 7 points with the dagger of piercing damage, which both are halved because you are enraged. The drow, who's currently experiencing some hateful words that were just said in her direction, is going to attempt to throw a firebolt at you. No, scratch that. Yeah, she's going to try to throw a firebolt at you, Journey. And is going to miss entirely, throwing it extremely wide as she throws it.
Oh, I have fire resistance anyway.
Yeah. She's gonna kind of growl under her breath a little bit and then take a few steps back to move along the side of the machine. And then the individual in the far back is going to... He's... Let's see. Yes. Yeah, that's it. He is going to pull out his short bow and is going to attempt to shoot at you, Journey. What is your armor class again? You said 14?
14.
He's going to barely miss you, fire about maybe like 6 inches to your right. The arrow sticking into the wall behind you. He's going to swear under his breath again and duck down a little bit, try to get a little bit of cover behind this machine. It is now Magnus' turn.
All right. I'm gonna open that drow's chest cavity and use it as a weapon. Okay, so I'm going for the drow. I'm just dropping the axe, claws. Let's see here.
Are you walking away from the half-orc?
Oh, you're right. I'll fuck up the half-orc first.
Okay.
Crit.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's 18 slashing damage.
Okay, you slash him across the chest, and he growls a little bit as he stumbles a little bit backwards. Very pissed off that you guys have killed 2 of his friends now.
He's lucky he's gonna meet them next. Let's see here. 21 to hit.
That hits as well. Roll damage.
That's going to be 10 more slashing damage.
Okay. He's looking a little beaten up. Decently bloodied.
All right. And then 17 to hit.
He's going to parry you. He parries your last strike, taking his scimitar and managing to make your claw graze past him as he maneuvers it around him. It is now Journey's turn. Journey and Andraka, you're on deck.
Okay. So I'm going to sustain the wind since it's a concentration spell up to a minute. I'm structured time and all that weird stuff. So I don't know. Do I have an action if I sustain that?
As long as you don't cast another concentration spell, you're good.
Okay. Then I'm going to shoot the lady
Okay.
with my crossbow.
Roll Zeph
Fortunately,
attack.
her. Okay. Going to pull up the thing, and I'm going to shoot. 11.
11 points of damage. Or 11 to hit, I mean.
No, 11 to hit.
11 to hit, yeah, sorry. 11 points of damage. 11 to hit. That does not hit. It
Okay.
bounces off of the device in front of her, and she ducks out of the way.
Then I am going to, as my bonus action, I'm going to change the direction in which the wind is blowing, and I want to hit the machine so it blows back, like with its fans, and knocks into the guy that's hiding behind it.
How far is the range on that?
60 feet.
Okay, yeah, you maneuver the wind so it starts blowing him, which he needs to roll a strength check, which he succeeds, so he's currently unmoved.
Oh, I was blowing it into the machine.
Or you're blowing into the machine to move it.
Yeah,
It
because
is a metal device
it's powered by
that is
wind.
it is a metal device that's planted on the ground at the moment.
Oh,
The fan
I was
is
trying. Didn't you
the
say I had
fan
like
is
fans or something?
the fan on the back of it is starting to move, but it's not causing the device to shift at all.
A shame. Okay, I guess, but that's my turn.
All right, Andraka.
Am I able to? What is the guy behind the machine doing?
He's just kind of he's a bit crouched behind it, so he's got about like 2/3 cover, 3/4 cover ish.
Oh, okay. I can still hit him.
Okay.
I am a sharpshooter.
Oh,
You
so you
cannot
ignore
hide except
cover.
I missed.
Except you missed.
Out of 13.
You fire the shot and it ricochets off the metal, causing him to kind of duck the opposite direction of where it hit. You hear him just like shit.
Make him duck into the fan blades.
And it is now Trinket's turn, who kind of makes her way towards the room again. Lets out a small sigh before drawing her rapier and dashing towards the half-orc who's currently engaged with Magnus, is going to attempt to slash him with her rapier, which I'm going to roll her stuff on D&D and Beyond. And that is going to hit. And she gets her sneak attack because she is engaged with an enemy who's also engaged with someone else. Is going to hit him for 16 points of damage. And then she's going to attempt a second strike with the rapier, which barely misses as he is prepared for the second attack, kind of parrying her blade off. And then she just kind of stands there readying herself. And it is now the enemy's turn. The half-orc is going to make his first attack. He's going to kind of turn his attention towards Trinket. And he is going to hit her for 7 points of damage. And you guys watch as Trinket is slashed across the face and drops to the ground unconscious.
No.
And then he is going to turn in the direction of Magnus and is going to attempt to stab him with the dagger that he has. Which he misses. He rolled like a 13. Now he's just going to stand there, extremely bloodied by this point, but is seems ready to die by this point, as he's kind of accepted what's about to happen to him. The individual behind the machine is going to peek out and is going to mutter an elven phrase as he does, and you watch as this half-orc seems to heal just a little bit. I need to roll for what that would be. Yes. He's going to heal for a few points. Kind of standing up a little taller for a moment. Before the individual ducks back down behind the machine. And the last one is going to run towards you now, Journey, and Andraka, and is going to attempt an attack with her short sword on each of you. Journey does a 15 hit.
Yeah, because mine is 14.
14. Okay. And she rolled a nat 1 on Andraka, so she definitely missed. You take 5 points of slashing damage plus 6 points of poison damage.
Okay. So I have 4 hit points left.
It is now Magnus's turn.
Mhm. Well, isn't this fun? Let's just get rid of that hobgoblin.
He's dead already.
Hobgoblin's dead. The half-orc's in front of
You
you.
mean the half orc?
Oh yeah, the half-orc. That's the one who was being a bastard. Yeah, that one.
Alright, roll attack.
He knocked out poor Trinket.
Uh, 16 to hit.
He's going to parry you, deflecting your attack.
19 to hit.
That's going to hit. Roll your damage. So he manages to parry your first claw attack, kind of in a final desperation of keeping alive, before you manage to slice him across the chest. And what did you roll for damage?
13 slashing.
How do you want to do this?
I think I just want to grab him by the throat and shove my fingers right in through his eyes.
Okay, so he parries your attack, and as he is staggering a little bit from that due to his weakened state, you manage to get a hold of his throat before just jamming your claws into the upper half of his head, using the eyes as an entry point, and he doesn't as so much let out a gasp before falling limp within your grasp. You toss him to the side, body slumping down.
And then I'm gonna attack that fucking drow.
All right. You have the movement for it, so you move over to her and roll your attack.
Crit.
All right, roll damage.
Let's see. Big numbers, baby. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 23 slashing.
Right, you slash her in the back as she seems to be focused on Journey at the moment. She lets out a cry, glancing back at you. Before it is now Journey's turn.
Okay. I'm almost dead, but I'm going to stab the person with a rapier.
Okay.
So, hiya. 12.
She manages to step out of the way of your attack, nearly almost allowing the rapier to hit Magnus. Luckily, your arm length is not long enough to do such a thing.
And then, as my bonus action, redirect that wind for the final time and blow her away.
Right? She'll roll a strength
So,
check. And Magnus needs to roll a
15.
strength check, which she succeeds. She does not move. She kind of braces herself again and kind of holds still, or holds fast.
21.
All right, you hold fast as well. And
I'm
Draka.
hoping you'd fail, and then you'd be knocked out of combat where all these people are surrounding you.
And Draka, it is now your turn, and you are within 5 feet of the individual.
Back up.
Who else is alive?
The individual who still tucked himself behind the vehicle. Or machine.
How? I guess he's probably too far undercover, right?
He's still 3/4 cover.
Sure, I'll take another shot at him. No, I won't.
What'd you roll?
11.
You do the same thing you did before, just kind of ricocheting a shot off the metal plating of this vehicle, and he ducks again and continues to swear under his breath.
Is he in contact with the machine?
He's got his back to it.
Well, Metal conducts electricity, doesn't it?
It wouldn't do that for this. He's shooting a round that does electric damage. It doesn't necessarily arc off things.
Ah.
And Trinket needs to roll a death saving throw. She succeeds in her first death saving throw. So she has one success so far. And the enemy, who feels herself a bit surrounded, is going to look around, and she is going to cast Thunderwave. I need everyone to roll a Constitution saving throw for me.
21.
3.
Fuck. 1 sec. Sorry.
Right in the dump stat.
25.
Okay, so Andraka and Magnus both save, and I need to find my... There they are. You both take 6 points of thunder damage. Journey, you take 13 points of thunder damage.
And I am
And
down.
you are knocked back. Let me double check the distance. I think it's 10 feet. Yes, you are knocked 10 feet away into the other room. And then the two of you also take an additional, the two that succeeded and are still there, take an additional 2 points of thunder damage as well. And with that, she is still standing next to both of you.
So that's a total of what?
You just took an additional two thunder damage because of there's an effect when she casts this individual casts spells. She produces a minute kind of wave of energy due to her magic.
Mm-hmm.
And the one who's still tucked away in the back is going to duck out of sight and mutter an incantation to himself, and he's not going to pop back up. So it is now Magnus's turn.
All right.
You have the drow in front of you who just knocked down Journey.
Yeah. That was a bad idea. $21 to hit.
That hits.
12 slashing damage.
Okay. You slash her in the back as she lets out another cry, the blood dripping at a very rapid rate out of the wounds that you've inflicted on her. What's your next roll on her? Because I know you're doing another attack.
23.
That hits as well. Roll damage.
Only 10 slashing damage this time.
How do you want to do this? Because that's the exact health she had left.
You said she dropped on her knees?
No, she let out a cry as she's kind of stumbled a tiny bit forward, but she's on her feet and she's got her back to you because she was facing Journey originally, who got thrown backwards.
I'm gonna stab her straight through the back, and I'm going to throw her corpse at the one behind the machine.
Okay, you get a hold of her. You drive it like a Mortal Kombat fatality, just hand through the gut, lift her in the air, and then just proceed to just throw her. Blood splattering everywhere as her limp body hits the rotary system of the fan and just kind of slumps down on the side next to the machine. Journey, roll, or actually no, you still have more action. You don't hear anything from the person back there. You hear a little bit of a whisper, like a "oh shit" type thing. and a couple
Do I
muggers,
have
but
enough
that's it.
movement to get right on top of that motherfucker?
You haven't moved, and the wind is gone. So yeah, you could. If what's your movement?
40 feet.
You could get back behind that machine.
Yeah, I'm going over there.
Okay, so you head over behind the machine, and you find there's no one there. It appears to be empty.
Are there any survivors? Like, are there any survivors that we know about?
The only one you know about is the individual that was back there. You don't know where he went. Journey, roll a death saving throw for me.
How much should I roll?
You just roll a d20. If it's a 10 or higher, you succeed. If it's a 9 or lower, you fail. And you mark that on your character sheet, because if you're at 0, it should say death saves.
You said D20.
Yeah, so you saved. So you got a success. That's one success. You need 3 to stabilize. Andraka, what do you wish to do?
Block the door.
I mean, how big is the room?
It's roughly about 30 feet long. Actually, it's probably longer. It's probably where the door is. So the room itself is probably about 45, 50 feet in length and about 20 feet wide.
Okay. I guess I'll move to the door. And then I still have an action, right?
Yeah.
I'll cast Detect Magic.
You cast Detect Magic onto the room, and you notice. Give me a second. Need to make sure I'm naming the right type of magic for this. You notice a bit of a illusionary magic from one of the corners of the room. Kind of hunched. It's a rough kind of blob, but it looks to be an individual. The individual is kind of crouching in the corner a bit.
All right, I'm gonna point to the corner and tell Magnus there's something over there.
Okay. You do that. Trinket's going to roll another death saving throw. That's a fail. So we see just one success, one fail. The individual, you notice this magic seems to shift a little bit, and you hear a voice say, all right, you win. We can talk about this. I don't need to die for this." But he does not make himself reappear. He does shift a little bit down the wall to make a little bit of distance from Magnus, but seems to be keeping to the wall and doesn't seem to be making any aggressive actions. The only person who can see him, though, is Andraka right now. Or kind of get an idea of where he is. So, Magnus, it is now your turn.
So even I heard this.
You heard the voice. You just don't know exactly the exact point. You kind of get a direction, but you don't know exactly where he is. But he said it, and then he shifted down the wall. So you knew where he was. You could hear exactly where he was before, but then he shifted further away, so it's a little harder to tell where he went.
All right. I trust that if he needs to be dealt with, Andraka would probably just fucking pop him where he is. So, I'm gonna go over to Trinket and try to stabilize her.
Roll a medicine check for me.
$18.
Okay, she's stabilized. So she is unconscious but has 0 hit points right now. Journey, roll a death saving throw.
Whoa. Okay. 20. 17.
17. All right, that's a success. So mark another success. And Draka, what would you like to do?
I mean, he didn't reveal himself, so I'm just gonna take a shot at the blob.
All right, fire. Shot.
10.
You got a 10. It's a warning shot, I swear. All right, you fire a shot, and it bounces off the wall next to him. He says, "Hey, just I don't need to die, please." And around this point, you hear footsteps coming behind you, Andraka. And as you glance back, you see Sylvia walking into the room, kind of gestures for you to kind of allow her through. Do you let her walk past?
Sure.
And as she walks past you, she points directly at the spot that you just shot at and cast Dispel Magic, which immediately causes the individual to appear who is in a semi-crouch with his hands up and his head kind of down, trying to keep himself from being shot. And she smiles at him before looking back at all of you, and she says, "I think I can take care of this one. If you want to look around." She grabs him by the top of his head, kind of like the hair. She grabs him by his hair and begins to drag him out of the building. And he's kind of just ow, 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 as she's digging her
Oh, he's
claws a
lost
little bit and
Magnus.
dragging her out.
Oh, he's back.
I'll say by this point, roll one more saving throw for me, Journey.
Okay. Nine.
Okay, so that's a fail. Roll another one. Just one more.
Okay.
I think you should succeed this next one. That's D&D and Beyond B's.
Ten.
Yep, that's a success. So you are stable. You are unconscious and you are stable. You rolled a 10.
Nap time.
So you are now just asleep. But you're
So
not
should I-
dying. You're no longer dying. So just leave it as all 3 successes on, and you're good.
Okay.
But she does drag that individual out of the building. And before she goes, Jared, she hands you she hands you 2 small red vials and says, give these to the 2 that are, well, unconscious. She continues to drag the individual out.
Okay.
You gonna give it to them or drink it, like make them drink it?
Yes.
Okay. And I will just roll for these real quick. You get 6 points of health back, Journey. And Trinket gets the same. So both of you reawake. Trinket gasping for air for a moment and looking around in a bit of a panic before letting out a sigh. Getting to her feet. She still looks heavily beaten, but she's alive nonetheless. Journey, you're in a similar boat.
It's kind of like, oh shit. And I'm gonna cast Healing Word at the 3rd level on myself.
Okay. You take care of those stats. Trinket kind of looks around and says, I assume we won after I blacked out there. She kind of looks at each of the bodies and says, I guess we look around now.
What is this contraption?
I would say roll either
That might be an Andraka cat check. 'Cause
yeah,
he's
I would say
our.
if you want to figure it out yourself, history or arcana with disadvantage. And Draka, I would say roll a straight arcana or history check.
I'm gonna roll as well, just in case.
And I would say for you as well, disadvantage, because the likeliness of you knowing what this is, Journey, is very low.
Dirty
Yeah.
20 on history.
I got the disadvantage. I got 10 because on the second check I got 19, but I got a 10 the
What
first
about
time.
you, Andraka?
15.
15. Okay, the DC was different for each of you. You've heard rumors of these, Magnus, and you've seen them from a distance, and you've heard the name tossed around as a dune cruiser, but you have no knowledge of any kind of how it works or why it works or anything else. You kind of have an idea that these exist, and you know what to call them. And Draka, due to your little bit of expertise, which you're the only one who had a DC that was a bit lower, you know this is a kind of an arcane vehicle for traveling through deserts. It makes it easy because when activated correctly, it hovers about uh, a foot off the ground and can easily be used to transverse the desert terrain without any kind of issue. But that is all you know about
Cool.
it.
Okay. Magnus is gonna start searching around for wherever their stash is.
Investigation.
I
I
dropped
detect
so much cash.
I detect magic didn't detect anything else anyway, right?
Um, roll a perception check for me. The DC is pretty low because you have detect magic up, but
18.
Nat 20.
all right, Andraka, you notice one of the walls that you didn't quite notice it before, but it has a bit of illusionary magic on it. And upon further investigation and going to interact with this wall, you find that there is a section of it that is actually not there, like a small kind of handhold. And getting a hold of it, you pull it aside, and the illusion drops, and you find a small storage room, uh, which inside has various boxes of things, as well as the main things that catch your eye. Most of these boxes are empty, by the way, within this room as you look around. There are 3 kegs within the room, a small locked chest, and you find a singular vial of let me make sure the description is right of this. A dark red liquid with a sort of this black substance floating within it that doesn't seem to quite mix with the red. Um, you've never seen the actually roll a medicine or a history check to see if you identify this liquid.
8 history.
You have no idea what this is. You've
Course.
never heard of anything like this, but it's intriguing. This liquid. But that is all you find within the room. And Magnus, doing your investigation check, you don't find anything else really in the room, but looking through the bodies, you roughly scrape up probably about 130 pieces of gold, or gold pieces, 38 silver, and 5 copper pieces. As well as the drow had a poison-tipped sword, which seems to have actually lost the poison that had been soaked over it. The 2 half orcs had scimitars that don't seem to be anything special, as well as two daggers that also don't seem anything special. Um, and
2 daggers.
yeah, they had two small daggers.
I will take the daggers.
All right. And upon putting those away, because I just remember this, when you open your pack to put these away, you find that the daggers you had taken previously have all shattered or cracked.
All 4 of them.
All four of them. I looked at your inventory and I rolled checks for everything because of that spell. The only things that succeeded, it was those and the hand axe you had cracked as well.
And a hand axe.
Yeah, and your hand axe cracked. But the 2 vials you had within your bag, the glass held strong, and the other axe you have didn't break as well. The hand axe can be repaired. The daggers could also probably be repaired, but are probably better off being melted down and turned into something else.
Yeah, but this is Magnus we're talking about. He sees that shit, he just fucking drops that crap on the bodies.
And just drops metal shards. So yeah, I guess remove the 4 daggers. So I guess remove 2 daggers because you're getting 2 more. And if you don't want the hand axe anymore, just remove the hand axe. Which it's cracked. It just needs to be like it needs a slight repair. And if you were to use it, there's a chance of it breaking.
Which chance of it breaking on you? Yeah, he's definitely leaving it.
Yeah, like he can tell, and he would be an individual that'd be able to kind of tell this about weapons, considering that's kind of his lifestyle. That the way it's cracked, if it's not repaired and it was to be used, hitting something just right, it would shatter or break.
In his life, you upkeep your own weapons, and you don't expect to be able to repair them anytime soon. Just fucking.
And if you're curious on the spell that she cast, it was Shatter, which breaks metals and it breaks metal, stones, and glass.
Other inorganic materials.
Yes, yeah. And I rolled con saves for everything you had, and lucky for you, those vials, those glass are made of something sturdy. Because you would have had healing potion all over your back.
I know what spell I'm taking at the next time I can take a spell.
Oh yeah. Hey, guess what's considered inorganic material?
What?
Teeth.
Man, I should have had all of your teeth roll con save. It just Magnus smiles later on. He's looking like a fucking like hillbilly hick.
He just spits a tooth out. Need to see mother again.
I'd like to take that rapier, I guess. Not know whether it's magical or not.
You mean it's a short sword that the
that short sword or whatever.
Yeah, it was poison doused, but it is now just a simple.
I wasn't sure whether it's like my dagger of venom where like it wears off.
Yeah. Okay. And I assume you retrieve your dagger as well, but yeah, that individual, their sword, because the dirt got mixed in onto the poison's kind of worn off, because it's clear she coated her blade in poison when you go to investigate it.
Okay, then could I climb up onto the weird fan wagon and see if like there's an owner's manual or anything?
Roll an investigation check for me.
Only 7. It was about to hit 16, and then it hit the wall.
You see, there's about on top of this thing. There's plenty of places to sit, as well as 2 defined actual chairs near the front. One of which is near what looks to be a sort of console with strange arcane markings on it that you have no idea what they mean. And there's also sort of a bench near the back, near this fan that is currently got a bit of blood on it due to your little fray. But other than that, you don't get really anything else out of this.
Does it have a good amount of storage space?
the platform itself could hold a pretty decent amount. The space on top is about roughly somewhere between 10 and 15 feet long and about 8 or 9 feet wide.
Okay.
So there's a decent amount of space to hold cargo and various other items.
Well, I have no idea what this is, but I think we should claim this thing. Yeah.
Trinkets.
I want to open this chest.
Do you have a way to get through the lock?
I have thieves' tools.
Okay. Roll a. Are you proficient in thieves' tools?
Yes.
Okay, roll a sleight of hand check. No. Yeah, sleight of hand plus your proficiency.
What?
And then plus 3 because of your proficiency, so 18.
18.
You fiddle with the lock, takes you probably a good 4 or 5 minutes, and then it clicks and it unlocks. And upon opening this chest, you find inside roughly 300 gold pieces within this chest.
And then I'm gonna start trying to move those kegs onto the machine.
Okay. That's easy enough to do. And around this point, as you finish up kind of moving stuff around, Silvio comes back into the room. Seems to be licking blood from the tip of one of her fingers. She stops in the doorway and says, "Well, what did all of you find?"
Well, they got a really cool fan flying machine over here, so that's pretty neat.
Ah, yes, a dune cruiser. I did hear rumors of one around. Didn't actually believe them. Did you find any of our merchandise?
Eggs.
And she kind of comes over and looks at each of them. She says, "Yes, these do appear to be what Kai ordered. There was a vial of something as well, but well, I don't think he needs it all that much, but he probably would enjoy having it. If you did find it, of course."
What's in it?
Roll up. No, she would tell you. It's a drug. Um, Something he's enjoyed using in the past. I've attempted to make him stop, but he enjoys it too much. Um, so I assume you found it then, if you're asking what it's in it.
I don't know.
Roll a deception check.
21.
She raises an eyebrow for a second, kind of shrugs it off, and says, "All right. Well, he'll be disappointed to hear that it was probably used. Um, if one of you would like to, or if you would all would care to bring those kegs to the tavern, we'll be willing to pay you."
That's
The rest
why
of you
we're
take
here.
the eggs. I'll finish up here.
We could try loading it on that flying machine and pilot it back. Save ourselves the manual labor.
Exactly.
It wouldn't make it back you wouldn't be able to drive it through the city. Streets are too narrow.
Hey, Magnus, want to knock down some old buildings?
Like I said, take the contraption as far as you can. I'll finish up whatever our lizard friend has left behind.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I assume, Magnus, you are the one taking the barrels, or the kegs.
Yeah.
Okay. And Trinket offers assistance, kind of struggling a little bit to carry one of them, but took the smaller of the three, and kind of follows you back towards the tavern. The other two, if you guys want to figure out how it works, either both of you can roll a Arcana check, or one of you can roll with advantage. It's your guys' choice.
Who?
You either both roll an Arcana check to see if you can get this thing to start working, or one of you can roll an Arcana check with advantage, because the other one is assisting.
Well, I'm proficient.
You guys
I-
gotta talk to each other about this.
I guess I'll roll with advantage.
All right, that's fine by me.
I got a 24. I got a 24.
Wow, 2 24s. That's
No, I got a 24 and a
oh, you got
12,
20.
but I
Oh, 24. All right, that's good enough. You look over the arcane runes, and it takes you a moment, but you begin to understand what each of them do, and you manage to actually get this machine to start working, activating the levitate uh, enchantment that seems to be placed on the base, causing it to float roughly about a foot off the ground before activating whatever arcane power source is able to turn the turbines or the fan in the back. And as you start figuring this out, you're able to open the doors leading out of uh, the city type deal and kind of backing the machine out. Uh, During that time, Magnus and Trinket, you guys make it back to the Moonshine Tavern where
Wait, why am I with Trinket?
because you guys are taking the kegs to the tavern.
No, I was gonna stay at the stables.
Oh, it's I okay. It sounded like you were taking the kegs to the tavern.
No, I was helping load them up, but I thought Andraka didn't really like go through the stuff in the storage room, so I was saying I was gonna stay back there.
Oh, well, let's run back through this then. You didn't. You didn't. I misinterpreted what you said because I asked you, "Are you taking the kegs to the tavern?" You said yes. You must have not heard me right, but okay. Never mind. Nobody's left the stables. The kegs are still there. Um, on that note, roll an investigation check to see if you want to look through that thing more. The back room.
20, dirty.
20. You look around back there. A lot of it looks to have been crates that had originally probably been what was storing most items. There's a couple of broken vials, red liquid kind of spilled out here and there. Though you don't really find anything else of value within here. You assume that whatever was in here probably was cleaned out not too long ago, probably within the last like 2 days. Probably sold
I'm
off or used.
I'm still gonna stay in there until the rest go.
Okay, so they managed to back out um the Dune cruiser out of the building and is now out near open desert. Um, Trinket kind of looks around to all of you guys and says, we should probably walk. Some of us should probably walk these kegs back to the tavern before we try to do anything with this. Um, I don't think we should bring it near the front area of the of Drygen in fear that someone might try to steal it.
That's a good point. We could leave it hidden here for now, and we drop this stuff off, and when we're ready to leave the town, we can blast off in this thing.
She kind of gives a nod and she says, "Do you want to pull it back in first, and then we can reconvene?"
Anyone know how to reverse this thing?
And Draka
That's
does.
it. And Draka gets to be the driver now. He gets to be the pilot.
Oh boy, I'm a driver.
Uh-oh.
We have doomed us all.
The artificer is the madman. Dear God.
We're going to die.
Alright, so do you park it back in the building?
Yes.
Okay, so you park it back in the building. You guys
Beep,
gather up.
beep, beep.
You guys gather up the kegs, kind of lock up the building a little bit. Before. Are all of you going to the tavern? Or let me ask this, so I don't force people to do what they don't want to do.
We should probably have somebody stay behind and guard the thing.
I'm literally said that I was staying
Okay.
there
I'm
multiple
double
times.
checking. I'm double
Triple
checking
checking.
because things are changing. I have to make these checks. Work with me.
I'm saying more for Journey now.
Yes. All right. So the three of you and Draka, Trinket, and Journey gather up the three kegs. Trinket having a little issue with hers, even though she picks the smallest of the three. And you guys make your way back to the tavern. Upon arrival, you find Kai and Sylvia both standing upon the little front steps of the tavern, speaking to one another before they both kind of turn in your direction. Kai looking fairly pleased, and Sylvia very content with what she was able to do after you guys had done most of the work. And Kai says, well, it's good to see that you've acquired some of my merchandise. It's unfortunate about the other things, but well, I can always try to get more. Sylvia kind of gives him a look as if to like tell him he shouldn't, but she doesn't say anything. Magnus is gone again.
He's not in the scene.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, but he says that to you. What's your response?
No response. Just hand over the goods.
I'm gonna pull out the vial.
Sylvia frowns a little bit.
So that's where that
after
is.
believing that you had not found it, and he looks quite excited a bit, trying to kind of hold it down a little bit, but you get a glimpse of a little bit of excitement from him. He says, "Oh, so you did find the vial."
Yeah. I'll give it to you. If you can tell me any information you have on this person, and I show them my drawing.
What was the last person? What did the last person who you asked about him say? Or do you have notes on that?
I think they said they were seen in Mirage.
That's right, because you talked to somebody about it. All right. He thinks a little bit. He looks over the picture very closely, um, taking in all the details for a moment, and says, I don't personally recognize him, though the description definitely matches something I have heard. Um, a client or two of mine dealt with someone of his nature in Mirage, but others say he was heading southward, I believe. Um, I could be wrong, of course. I could be speaking of another individual, but I believe he was heading southward towards the Pearl Bay, if I am not mistaken. Something about getting on a vessel and heading possibly to Sarthstag or Normandy. I cannot remember. But that is all I know. And kind of holds a hand out towards the vial, but not like trying to take it from you.
Hmm. Thanks for the information. And I'll hand it to Sylvia.
He takes it, pockets it, kind of gives him a look. He looks a little defeated, kind of ears fall a little bit and kind of fold back for just a moment. He looks a little sad, or he sighs, uh, and then reaches into a satchel on his hip and pulls out three coin purses and tosses. Oh no, he pulls out four and tosses one to each of you. Within there's 200 gold pieces. And he says, your payment for everything that you've done for me.
I guess I'll save Magnus's for him.
Yes, and
So
he
you
he
said
then
400?
200 apiece,
Oh, 200.
and he then says, and I know you all were looking for something about a vision. I might have a lead. There was word of someone who is looking for a group of individuals. Um, she said the individual in the note said a group of strange individuals, and the rough description sounded like you lot.
Well, we are
So,
strange.
yes, quite the motley crew. Um,
Is there a description on the guy who asked the question?
um, I want a. There was not a description of who sent the letter. Uh, there was, however, a name. And the name is. If I can find my note on his name.
What's his name? What's his name?
Um. Oh. His name. The man's name is Caslow. Or at least that's who the letter says it is from. If you're wondering how to spell that, it is literally Caslo. Caslow.
I'll type that. Want me to type that in the thing?
If you want to, I have a note
Um,
for it, but
did you
that,
say
that
K
that's
A Z L O?
I said
Caslo. Okay.
Caslo. Caslow.
Okay.
Um, he requested that I send you his way. The fact that he knew that you were here is a mystery to me, but you know, in a world of magic such as this one, strange things happen all the time. But if you all are heading in that direction, I bid you good fortune. And if you're ever looking for work, you know where to find me. And he then leans into the bar and kind of shouts something, and turns back around and picks up one of the kegs. And a few moments later, that Minotaur you had seen before walks out and picks up the other 2 kegs and helps him walk them inside.
Oh, we should mention killed your hobgoblin friend.
And you hear him call back from inside the tavern. It was about time he was dead. A few moments later, Dust comes kind of running out. Kind of runs into you first, Journey. Kind of gives you a hug.
Give her a hug back.
She looks over you and Trinket says, What did I miss?"
Nothing much.
"Nothing much. You look like you died."
Well, we were nearly dead, but that ain't the same as real dead. Anyway, we got a cool wagon. I think it all worked out in the end. Let's go fetch our stuff and well, we'll show it to you. We can get out of here. We think we have the next lead on where we need to go.
She says, "Cool." And she places a hand on you, and you are healed for 6 more points of damage.
Thank you, love.
She gives you a smile, and then she goes over to Trinket and places a hand on her and heals her for 14 points of damage. Trinket weakly gives her a smile and kind of walks with her as they both kind of follow suit after you back towards the stable. And you all, I assume, you guys all get situated back onto the this dune cruiser and prepare your trek towards the oasis in the center of the desert. And that is where we'll end this episode. I think this is a fantastic stopping point. Much cleaner than previous stopping points that we've had in the past.
Yeah, we got a car. So I'm gonna post this in the chat. But
on that
read this.
note,
Gotta read this as Balrog. When we're leaving town.
Yes, Balrog did come with you. Kevin, you left town just like, Balrog!
We do a sick drift on the sand.
That would mean we were sad that it happened.
Well, we're going to say for the sake of brevity, you guys did get him on the way out because he should be here at the next session. But on that note, since we are entering this session, I want to say, because I did this with the other party as well, congratulations, you leveled up. So you all get to move up to level 6.
Yay.
You just made me fucking terrifying.
You weren't already terrifying?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently, things aren't getting worse.
Oh, nice. Now I have counter charm, unfailing inspiration, and universal speech.
Bards get crazy as they level up.
I mean, I didn't really get anything at level 5, except font of inspiration.
Nobody gets anything at level 5.
Now I know.
Barbarians.
Except for barbarians. They're the exception. But
they're special now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Jared. Are you able to grab the subclass that you have?
I am.
You are. So you have the new subclass.
Oh.
Yes.
All right. You're a little
I'm now changed. I'm a changed lizard.
As you all right away, he pales out. We'll discuss that next session. We'll discuss that whole thing after me and you have a bit of a chat on like the specifics of what you want to get done with this change. But on that note, because we are wrapping this up, we hope you all enjoyed this session. And for those who are finding this on YouTube or who've joined in for the first time and wish to catch up on previous episodes, there's the YouTube page, as I just said. Everything is organized, or should be organized. I need to go back on there and make sure everything is organized. I might not have the channels, the story playlist updated entirely, so not all the episodes are on there, but most of the beginning ones are.
It's your episode
Saturday-
0.
Yes, except for that didn't happen. We just don't say that happened. The timelines will fix themselves. That's all I
It's
say.
semi-canon.
Yes, semi-canon. We know it happened. No one else does. If you guys want to catch us on the next episode of any of this, whether it's this campaign or one of the others, follow the Twitch, turn on those notifications so you get notified every time that we go live. Or you can join the Discord or the Twitter, which also will give you updates for whenever we go live. And we'll supply a link on both of those. And if you join the Discord, there is a chance you could communicate with one of us and possibly, I don't know, if one of us decides to do a one-shot or something, you could possibly join in. Possibly. I don't know what everyone's plans are. I'm not going to speak for everyone. I might do, if we get enough people on this damn Discord, I might try to do one-shots with random people. I don't know. And for the schedule, Saturday we're doing Vampire.
Yep.
And then I think, so Saturday we're having the Vampire the Masquerade campaign. It's because this part of the year is all finicky, schedule's all wonked up. And Sunday we may be streaming potentially the session 0 of the Grim Hollow campaign that our boy Evan is going to be DMing, and I'm super excited for it because I've jumped ahead and made my character long before he wanted us to, because I get excited about these things.
I didn't know what the stats were, but
there are no stats. I don't have stats on it. I just have my character made as in the concept. But
then I did the same thing you did.
I've been telling him about it, so that's why he probably doesn't know. But on that note, and one last thing. Next week, Thanksgiving week, we are not doing any D&D because I am not risking one party doing stuff and the other one not next week. And I think we're all going to be busy traveling or whatever for Thanksgiving. And, another week break. End of the year sucks for scheduling. But we will be back in 2 weeks. And we will be back with hopefully, the final episode of the Meet the Kobolds, because that campaign is running out of traction on where it's going to go. And I might break up some stuff with that in other things.
You've already met the kobolds. Now it's time to move beyond meeting them.
Yes, we got to go on to the next thing. And the Wild West campaign will be in 2 weeks as well, as we trek into unknown territory and possibly go kill a mind flare. It's going to be rough.
I thought you were about to say kill a miner.
Yes, we're going to kill some miners.
I mean, they have done that before.
We don't talk about that, and it wasn't our fault. That warlock changed our fate. Anyway, as always, we hope you guys enjoyed, and we hope to see you all in the next session. Peace.